On Sports 1440.
An Ovechkin deflection that went high. Now it's still there. Score! You can see the mountaintop from here. We're at DEFCON 5.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Oh, Serrano moves in. Swung it back to Marcigo. Fires. Score!
We have a Leon goal, I assume.
Penn State to the Frozen Four for the first time ever.
Well, a tremendous Monday afternoon. How are you? And welcome to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X, as always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca,
Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the province at PlayAlberta.ca. I'm Jason Gregor. He is Connor Halley. And a busy weekend in sports. As you heard, the Final Four. Leon Draisaitl returns in spectacular fashion for the Edmonton Oilers. Assist, tying goal, game-winning goal in overtime. Sets the NHL record for most overtime goals in a single season with 6. He has 11 game winners. He has 51 goals on the season. It is the 4th time in his career he's had 50 goals. It is the 4th time in his career he's had 50 goals and 50 assists. There's only 9 guys in NHL history who have done that. He's the only active player. Also, the last guy who did it at least 4 times to do it was Mario Lemieux in 1997. So something you don't see very often. And Draisaitl is trending like he's a surefire ballot Hall of Famer right now. If his career ended today, he's a Hall of Famer. There's no question about it. But he's probably, halfway through his career? His new 8-year deal kicks in next season. It would end when he's 37. I don't think he's retiring. I think he's got at least 10 more seasons to go. And when you look at that, he will need 302 goals and 445 assists to become the 5th, and maybe 6th, because Crosby needs 81 goals, to have 700 career goals and 1,000 assists. There's only 4 players to date who have done that. Like, that is some pretty lofty company. You're talking 700 goals and 1,000 assists. So you're pretty unique. You're pretty dominant in both categories. Gretzky did it, of course. Gordie Howe did it. Jaromir Jagr and Marcel Dion. That's it. Now, there's only 8 guys to score 700 goals, right? Mike Gardner, Phil Esposito, Brett Hall, Alex Ovechkin. None of them had more than 873 assists. So what Draisaitl is doing is incredibly special, really. And I'm very curious to see kind of where he ends up when his career's over. But he is going to be amongst some of the greats of the greats. I don't think there's any question about that. Con man, what stood out for you on the weekend?
I mean, just how can you not look at what Leon Draisaitl does when the game is on the line and when you need someone on your team to step up, in the fashion that he's done it for the entirety of the season. You talked about it, breaking the record for goals. Now leads the league in multi-point goals. And just game-tying goals as well. He's got 6. I believe Nick Suzuki has 4, and then there's a handful of guys with 2. So just, you're witnessing one hell of a season right now from Leon Draisaitl. I don't have to tell people that, but just stepping up in the big games when you really need it and having that ability has been something to watch. I thought Calvin Pickard, made some big saves for the Oilers and, kind of get it out the win, got physical, got a little chirpy, like seeing Darnell Nurse having some fun, talking some smack, going off at the second intermission. But yeah, I think the biggest takeaway, and it's obvious, but it has to be Leon Draisaitl and what he's doing.
Yeah, the other takeaway from the weekend in the NHL, and you can tell I'm a little bit under the weather. That's why I'm doing the show from home today. I don't like getting anybody else sick. So we'll try to gut it through here today. But when I look at it, the playoff race in the West, I think the playoff race is over. The Blues and the Wild each have 87 points. Vancouver's at 81. Calgary's at 80. So I look, the Calgary Flames, if St. Louis just goes 4-3, and they've won 9 in a row, But let's just say they go 4-3. That gives them 95 points. The Calgary Flames, who don't have the tiebreaker, would need 96. They'd have to go 8-2. The Flames have not won 7 out of 10 games at any point this season. And now they're going to do it in the last 10 games of the year. It's not happening. The Vancouver Canucks, they'd have to go 7-1. Actually, 7-0-1. They've never won 7 out of 8 at any point this season. Like, it's over. I know not mathematically. People will look on the website and, they still have a chance. I'm sorry. We on the show declared which guys are in and out. And I'm saying today the Canucks and the Flames are done. The East, the race still continues. Canadians, Rangers, 77. Blue Jackets, 75. Red Wings, Islanders, 74. Now, here's a fun little tidbit for you. We could see something this year in the NHL that hasn't happened since 1967. And I'm not talking about the Maple Leafs winning the Stanley Cup, although that's a possibility because they're making the playoffs, so anything can happen. But, Cons, any guess what the NHL hasn't seen since 1967?
No. Well, that's a pretty wide open question.
Yeah. Both Detroit and Boston missing the playoffs in the same year. Hasn't happened since 1967. Now, a lot of that is the Bruins, but because they don't miss the playoffs very often. But that's the last time those two teams, original 6 teams, missed the playoffs. You can go back and look at other combinations that have missed the playoffs more recently. Boston, Toronto in 16, Boston and Montreal in 2016, Detroit and the Rangers in 21, Montreal and Detroit last year, Rangers in Rangers in Montreal in 21, Chicago, Rangers 21, Chicago, Detroit 24, Chicago, Montreal 19, Chicago, Toronto 2008. Really, like the only closest one would be Toronto and Detroit missing the playoffs in the same year. You got to go back to 1982. But it is something that's very rare. The Bruins and the Red Wings. And look at the Red Wings. They have 9 games left. Every one of their games is against current playoff team. So they have to pass 3 teams, and they have the toughest sked. Now, how about this? None of those 5 teams battling for the playoffs has even won 5 of their last 10 games. It is an absolute turtle race in the Eastern Conference. The Utah Hockey Club, if they were in the East, they'd be a playoff team right now. And they're 11th in the West. So there is somebody's going to get in. Do I think they're going to make some noise? The only team I think that could make noise maybe is if the Rangers, because Shesterkin could stand on his head. That's really the only thing I see happening there. Also, Major League Baseball got underway, and there's already a storyline. How many people had heard of the torpedo bat prior to this weekend? I'm going to say nobody. Well, the New York Yankees, they had basically a genius, I would think somebody who understands physics and everything else, change their bat. It's all legal, but they put a little bit more of the barrel of the bat, Cons, right in the wheelhouse. So you now have more wood in the spot that you want to hit, and they were just launching balls. Now, maybe Milwaukee's pitching is terrible, but how long do you think until other teams around the league, like are torpedo bats going to be across the MLB by next season?
I mean, other teams, in my opinion, should have been looking at this yesterday. Like the second they found out and the Yankees hit 9 dingers, they win 20-9 with these torpedo bats. I feel like you got to have your best minds on it. Like, hey, how do we get these in our hands and at least give it a go? Like, at least bring it out in batting practice. Let the players see it. Give them the best opportunity because, my goodness, like, how did the Yankees keep this, like, under wraps? And then all of a sudden they just, like, a little alteration with the bat. And like you said, they're a good lineup. Like, they have a lot of power. Maybe the Brewers pitching staff wasn't great that day, but there's got to be some correlation. And the science makes sense. It's almost interesting to me that it took so long for someone to try to tinker with the bat in baseball.
Well, Aaron Leonhardt is the mastermind behind the Yankees torpedo bats. Now, he has a PhD from MIT. He worked on a NASA-funded research team. He was a physics professor at Michigan for 7 years. Then when he was 40 years of age, he left academics to pursue baseball. He started working at Dawson Community College in Montana before he became a minor league coach for the Yankees. Then he got moved to the big league club and responsible for bridging the gap between the analytics department and the players by translating complex analytical data into actionable insights. Oh, that's courtesy of Joe Pompliano. I read his article about it earlier. It was pretty fantastic to see somebody who, like, when you see the torpedo bat, it's kind of like, oh, why didn't someone think of this earlier? But you can think about a lot of unique inventions over time, and it wasn't until somebody thought about it and actually made it happen that it works. And you're like, all right. Now, the Yankees have had them since spring training, right? And they were using them more in spring training. And I read on the weekend that they've actually been working on this for a while. Cons, I want to say 4 or 5 years, but they could never get it right.
Yeah.
So if I don't know if they just, maybe you're where the heart of the bat is, they just, if it's off by an inch or two, I don't know. Or maybe I'm sure it's hard for a player to suddenly pick up a different bat that you've used your whole life and now be like, hey, here's a torpedo bat, try it. We're creatures of habit. And you're a Major League Baseball player. Are you going to risk trying it and not hitting? I wonder how much that's part of it. So I know that Brad's working on us getting somebody from the torpedo bat on. So it's intriguing to see something different in sports, where sports, it doesn't change a ton when you think about it. We've evolved a little bit into training for sure. You know, what they've done in training obviously has helped athletes get bigger, stronger, faster. But, you know, you look even at the hockey stick, like we were talking about Draisaitl to start the show. And when people see his blade, you know, they call it a paddle because it's bigger, it's longer, it's taller. And everyone's like, oh, I can't shoot with it. Well, clearly you can shoot with it because Draisaitl's proven it. Draisaitl's tied with Austin Matthews. The last 7 years in the NHL has got the most goals. So don't tell me you can't score with it. It's just others haven't tried it. And so they don't feel comfortable with it. But when you see Draisaitl's ability to not only shoot, but how good of a passer he is. Now, the blade doesn't make him a great passer, of course. He's got the ability to do it. But it might help him a bit. It allows him to control pucks, knock pucks down more because he's got a bigger blade. I think a lot of people are just scared to try new things. And I will be interested to see, because if you have the blueprint for the torpedo bat, Cons, now, is this the Yankees? Do they own it and they don't want to give it to other teams? That I haven't got the proper. I don't think so.
No, 12 players actually use it around the league.
Players.
Yeah. 5 of them are Yankees. There's one Blue Jay. Who would you guess?
Bichette.
No, Davis Schneider.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, how many years has he used it?
I don't know exactly. I'm just kind of reading up on the article right now because originally I had thought it was a Yankee thing, but player on the Rays, we got the Mets, Twins, a couple Cubs, and an Oriole using it.
Now, the Yankee 5, is this the first year all 5 are using it? Like Aaron Judge wasn't using it before, was he?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
it would have came out. Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
like a guy's bombing home runs left and right. So it's not like the bat is automatically going to make you a home run hitter. Aaron Judge has proven he's a home run hitter. But does this bat allow for more balls that he would hit to give him more opportunity? Like, does he have is the exit speed? Like, I know now in baseball, like they track, is the exit speed off of this bat that much higher than off his normal bat? That's what you have to look at, right, to see if it's that much of a difference. So it's just kind of fascinating. Like, I know we have text. How do you think it would change for hockey? Well, the only thing I can think of, and like obviously we've changed the stick. We went from wood sticks, then you had the wood blade with the aluminum shaft, then you went to composites. The only real difference that I can think of in a hockey stick was, remember the Torspо? And it was like a round shaft instead of the kind of the square / rectangle shape that it is right now. Some of you guys out there, now this is more in the 80s, early 90s. I remember that. I don't think there's been one since. Has there been any other significant change in the shape of the stick that you can think of, other than having those round sticks for a while? All right. There's a Torspо. Coho might have had one too, if I'm not mistaken. but there wasn't a lot of them that were the round, like it almost looked like a tube. So, hey, Gregor, right now sticks are coming out with 5 sides. It's an unreal feel from Chris. What? Like a pen, 5 sides? So is that because in theory they feel you can grip it better? Huh. That I didn't know. Hey, Gregor, what about the slingshot by Bauer? There's a hole in the blade. Yeah, but I've seen that online, but I wasn't sure if anybody actually uses it in a game. Like not at any high level, do they? I'm not sure. I can't answer that honestly because I don't know. But I saw that video. I thought it was, to be honest, I thought it was kind of more of a gag than anything else. So, and Judge isn't using the torpedo bat cons. I was wrong. So he's not even the guy. He's crushing bombs without it. So clearly it's not the torpedo bat for everybody.
No, Bellinger, Chisholm, Goldschmidt, Austin Wells, and Anthony Volpe. They have as the Yankees players using it.
Okay. So then it's not that big of a deal.
No. Maybe the Yankees just had a really good game.
Well, Aaron Judge, if there's one player that you had to pick to break the record for most home runs, it would be Judge. I think he's the best home run hitter in the game right now. He's definitely probably the most consistent for sure. And when you get off to a start like that, you know what? Like all you need is a really good April, like a great April. And then, you're not necessarily playing catch up. You're just trying to maintain it. But 4 home runs in the opening weekend of Major League Baseball. It's pretty impressive. Like I'd like to know, I'll look it up during the break, but like what's the most home runs someone's ever had by the end of April? Now, a good start is a good start. Doesn't mean you're going to continue it. But like what if the guy like crushed something like 22 home runs in the month of April? Like it just set you up for, you just have to be okay after that. You could set it. So we'll see.
Rodriguez and Pujols both hit 14 once.
So that's the most is 14.
14, yeah.
Now was that the year A-Rod hit over 60?
It was 2007.
Okay, I don't remember what year you did it at.
Let's see if I can scroll and find his career stats quickly here. 07, he hit 54.
Hey, Gregs, do you have any concern about the lack of regulation wins by the Edmonton Oilers? What do they got, 30? Well, you're right. There's no 3-on-3 overtime in the regular season. And the Oilers have, I think, now it's either 11 or 12 that they have fewer regulation wins than Las Vegas. So, I guess if you wanted to look at it like it could be a possible concern because there's no 3-on-3, and obviously if you play overtime, it's going to be it's going to be the same amount. But I don't know, like in the regular season, it's just all about how you win. It doesn't matter that you don't get bonus points for a regulation win. You still get 2. Now your opposition gets none, so that's the only bonus. So I don't know. It's an interesting question. Who has, do I think New Jersey's a better team than Edmonton? And they have 5 more regulation wins than the Oilers? I do not. Edmonton's regular season has been, I would say, somewhat underwhelming overall. But the big wild card for me is if the Oilers get healthy, and they're wisely, if you just joined us, McDavid, Ekholm, Skinner, they're not on the road trip. Now, they might join them later on the trip. We'll see. But they're not going to play the first 2 games for sure. So maybe they fly out Friday and join them in LA for the Saturday afternoon game. Possible. Trent Frederick is on the road trip. Not certain he will play, but he's on the road trip to skate with the team. And that's a good sign because he hasn't skated with the team yet. So he's obviously getting close. Maybe later in the trip, like maybe the Anaheim game. But when you get Frederick in, and then you get McDavid back, and then you get Ekholm back, and then you get Stuart Skinner back, and then in the playoffs, you add Evander Kane, that's a very different team than you've seen all year long. So it's hard. when we say the regular season is a different season, I think it's accurate. Now, to a point, right? If you have all the same pieces, but Edmonton's team is going to look a lot different. LA's team, they kind of are who they are. And I don't think Edmonton's going to catch LA. I could be wrong, but I think Edmonton's going to finish third. I wouldn't be that concerned about regulation wins for me. Quick break coming up on the show today. Dan Rosen will join us. We got 2-minute warning with Cam Tate. Sean Brown will be by. We got Georges Larac will join us, talk a little Montreal Canadien. Matt Barrett talking to Oil Kings. They split on the weekend. That's what they wanted in Prince Albert. They won the first one 3-1, then lost 6-1 on Saturday night. They are in Edmonton tomorrow and Wednesday. Speck will join us from the road. We got Kevin Woodley in the 5 o'clock hour. Much, much more on a busy Monday edition of the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
There's one. And another. No, not spring flowers yet, but rather huge deals. It's GMC's Truck Month at Wolf GMC Buick. Nab 0% financing up to 72 months on our most popular Sierra half-tons, or massive discounts starting at $8,000. Choose your truck from a great selection, like the fabulous all-new Canyon, right up to the trailer-hauling Sierra HD with the industry-leading Duramax diesel. Spring into Wolf GMC Buick today and snag your truck, and see the savings at wolfgmcbuick.com.
Mr. Ruther checks off his bucket list.
Skydiving is tops on my list.
I want to go to Bali.
What's at the top of your bucket list, Mr. Ruther?
Definitely the Rubbermaid H2864R. It has 14 quarts of capacity with a spill-free pour spout and a corrosion-resistant handle. Wow, what a bucket.
You know that a bucket list isn't a list of nice buckets, right?
I do. That's how good this bucket is.
For a plumber with buckets of plumbing passion, call
Mr. Ruther.
Actions speak louder than words. Japa Machinery Group puts your construction plan into action with XCMG construction machinery you need. Available for rental or sale. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
At Fountain Tire, our focus is taking care of your vehicle. Your focus? Saving up to 25% off select tires. Plus, getting up to a $120 mail-in rebate on a set of 4 select tires until April 26th. So we both win. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
With the lead up to the playoffs underway, players are definitely stepping up their game.
And the fans are doing the same. Simple snacks like chips and dip may work at the front half of the season, but now more and more fans are rocking the Wilhauk beef jerky for game time get-togethers.
Just make sure you bring enough for everyone if you want to be invited back for the playoffs.
Make your next hockey game day a Will Hockey game day with Wilhauk beef jerky, only available in Leduc. Get yours today because you don't win games with salad.
Is it Riverside Motorsports?
No. It's Riverside Motorsports. Over 55 years in business, and people still get it wrong.
Guess it's time to get it right.
Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
Metal Supermarkets is locally owned, locally operated. They love this city and serving its people. We're talking metal cut to your exact specifications, fast. In fact, at Metal Supermarkets, they're as Edmontonian as checking your basement sump pump in the spring and... oh, no, not good. But on the bright side, I do need to work on my backstroke. And don't even get me started on my butterfly. Count on the local convenience stores for Southside, West End, metalsupermarkets.com.
Explore Internet just got 10 times faster. 5G Ultra brings incredible speeds to homes in rural and small town Canada. Upgrade today at xplore.ca.
you get no satisfaction.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
Your show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Welcome back. Monday afternoon, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X, sports1440.ca. Thanks so much for listening, watching to the show. You can always get involved, 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440 in our well inbox. It's time to go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. And good morning just became great morning because McDonald's has introduced a new lineup of smoky maple breakfast sandwiches featuring smoky maple sauce, but only for a limited time at McDonald's. As Dan Rosen from NHL.com joins us. Dan, how you doing, my man?
Jason, what's going on, man? Every time I come on your show, I love it. You always do like a read before I come on. A lot of times it's McDonald's, and you do a hell of a read, man. It's a great read. They should be happy that they're a sponsor.
I like it. Nice. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's done it for a while, so you'd hope after 20 years I'd be okay at it. So that's good. It's nice. I appreciate that. Dan, speaking of a good read, I think I have a good read on the Western Conference, and I think the Blues have just, they just slammed their hand down on the table. It's over, right? They're the Vince Carter move.
Yeah.
The playoff race in the West looks over. It's only a seeding race now for the top 8.
It really does. I mean, now it's just a matter of, do the Blues finish? Where do the Blues finish? I mean, are they gonna? They're tied right now in points with Minnesota, and they're running into the first wild card spot at this point. And I mean, they're only 6 back of Colorado, but they only got 7 games left to go. So that would be a stretch probably to catch Colorado, but they could easily get that first wild card. And obviously if they do, they avoid the Winnipeg matchup, but you get the Vegas matchup. So I'm not so sure that that's the best thing for you. Regardless what it is, but they have definitely slammed their fist down on the table and say it's ours. 9 wins in a row. They've done a terrific job in doing so. Real balance all the way across too. So yeah, they have. And Vancouver, Calgary, Utah. I mean, these teams have not, they were there for the taking all year long, and none of them took it. And here comes St. Louis, and you knew a team was going to have to come and take it, and the Blues have done that.
Yeah, winners of 9 in a row. It's it's a fantastic run for them. They haven't had the toughest sched during this. They beat Nashville 3 times and lots of other non-playoff teams, but they just did beat Colorado. So where do you come out? Are the Blues just, they're beating all the teams they should beat? Do you see them as a threat against Winnipeg or Vegas?
I do. I do, because this is a team you're playing well and peaking, if you will, at the appropriate time. That's what you want, and you take advantage of the schedule. I noticed this a couple of weeks ago, and when I was looking around and I saw the Blues schedule, and I'm like, well, it's 3 games against Nashville, right? I mean, those got to be. You want to make the playoffs? Those are wins, right? Like that. That's to me what it has to be, and what happens? They play 3 games against Nashville, and they're wins, right? So. You look at you look around their schedule beyond that. You were looking at teams like Anaheim was in the mix there, right? Chicago was in the mix there. So you got to take advantage. You got to win these games. And then that's the difference. I think the Blues are winning the game. Playoff teams win the games they're supposed to win. And they win a bunch of the ones that they're not, that are more even, if you will. And that was the Colorado game, right? I mean, that's, you take a 2-1 win against Colorado. So they've built it well. I think that they are a threat. I think it seemed like Winnipeg, maybe it's playoff history, recency bias on what we've seen in the playoffs from the Jets. But to me, the Jets it's gone so well all season long Now, I'm not saying it's a bottom, you're waiting for the bottom to drop out on this at all, but you're going to catch, if you catch a team, and maybe they get lucky and St. Louis isn't that team, right? Because the lucky one right now for Winnipeg would be to face Minnesota, which is banged up and all this stuff, right? But if they play the Blues and you're catching a team that's playing really good hockey, unless they falter here, in the first 2.5 weeks of April, which I don't see happening, they could, and you have that taste of playoff failure in you a little bit that you got to try to get over. That's not a good matchup, I don't think, for Winnipeg. And that's not to say they wouldn't be favored or they can't win it. I'm not saying it, but you want a favorable matchup. That's not the favorable matchup. The favorable matchup for Winnipeg right now would be Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm with you wholeheartedly. Now we move to the East, and it's a great race. It's a turtle race, but it's still a great race. Everyone's close. Montreal, the Rangers, 77. Columbus had that huge come from behind win over Vancouver. They got 75, and they have the most games left with 10. Detroit and the Islanders each have 74. I looked at the schedule. The Canadians do have the best schedule because they got 6 home games, and they've only got a few against playoff teams. But, they've lost. They did finally get a win after losing 3. Do you like the Canadians, or is like the Blue Jackets just something about their season where you say this might be their year?
Well, listen, I mean, the Blue Jackets, I was saying that up until, they shortly after they won the outdoor game, I was saying this is their season, right? I mean, look at this. This is just great stuff that's going on here. And then it hasn't been that way. It just has not been that way for them, and they lose the game on Saturday against Ottawa. They pull one out, and it's you don't care about losing the point against Vancouver, but you're not happy with a 6-6 game that you win 7-6 in a shootout. They beat the Islanders. Some will say they got lucky in beating the Islanders because of a goalie interference penalty. A goal taken off with 9 seconds left on goalie interference, which I think was, by the way, but it hasn't gone very well. So I look at the Blue Jackets and I say, I think, maybe it's that season and they are able to fight back here. They got 10 games left, but it hasn't gone that well. The Canadians have to be the team. They have to prove it now. Okay, you beat Florida, go do it again. You know what I mean? Like, that's what you got to do. You lost a bunch in a row. I think they had lost 3 in a row. Then they win a nice game against Florida. Okay, you want to prove it? Go do it again. Because that's how you get into the playoffs. The Rangers are lurking, and they haven't been that good. They haven't been. Let's just put it out there. Forget about that good. They haven't been good. They lose a game in Anaheim that they absolutely had to win. They're up 4-2. They have a 5-on-3. They got a power play. They don't score, and they lose the game 5-4, and they get a point out of it. But that's brutal. You got to get 2. That might be the point that keeps them out of the playoffs, by the way. But then they come back and they got the get right game against the get right opponent, right, in San Jose. So does that propel them? They've got Minnesota, banged up, struggling Minnesota coming in. Minnesota's in New Jersey tonight. Then they play the Rangers on Wednesday on the road. The Rangers are rested at home. Then they don't play again until Saturday. Now they have played only 8 games left, but you're coming off a win, and now your last stretch of games here is going to be spread out a little bit. Maybe that benefits the Rangers. The other thing that benefits the Rangers is their 32 regulation wins. The teams around them are not going to catch them in that category. So if it's a tie, the Rangers are going to get it, right? So they're the team in the mix here that's lurking in, and you're just like, okay, that's the one that you kind of pencil at this point, because Montreal's got to prove it. Columbus has to catch up and prove it. The Red Wings have to catch up and prove it. The Islanders have lost 5 in a row. Can they figure it out? I don't know. So when it comes out in the wash, if Montreal can be the team that Ottawa is right now, that's learning how to win these games and figuring it out, then it'll be Montreal. If not, I think the Rangers end up getting it.
Yeah, the Rangers are the only team with a plus goal for differential. So, maybe they're the better team. We'll see. The other great race, and there's a few, but the Atlantic Division, Toronto, Tampa, and Florida. Toronto did themselves world of good on the weekend with some big wins. Tampa's 3 back. They have a game in hand. Florida's 3 back. They have a game in hand. So they're all super close. And they all play each other here fairly frequently down the stretch, which I think makes it for way better hockey. If you want to see a battle, Toronto's playing Florida twice. They got Tampa once. Tampa's playing Florida. I think Toronto plays them back-to-back on the April 8th and 9th, which should really be entertaining, fantastic. Do you like I think everybody agrees Toronto is the team that needs to finish first, just based on their recent playoff struggles compared to Tampa and Florida, who both won the Cup and both have been the last 5 Stanley Cup finals between the two of them. Do you think Toronto can hold off the Lightning and the Panthers in the month of April?
Well, I think they can, but be careful what you wish for, because Ottawa is going to be the team that they play if they do, right? And now you got a Battle of Ontario against the Senators team that's figuring it out, and all the pressure, you know where it is. It's going to be on Toronto, right? So, yeah, you want to finish first. You're not going to say no. You're going to want to play the Senators over Tampa Bay or Florida. I get all of it, right? But be careful what you wish for. That's the thing, because Ottawa's figuring it out. Now, they have to figure it out in the playoffs, but I'd counter that and say, well, so does Toronto, right? So, it's really in very intriguing position for the Toronto Maple Leafs. But yes, go out, win your games. Now they've got 8 left. The other teams have 9 left, but they have the advantage. So they even the game in hand, they still have the 3-point lead. So even if Tampa and Florida end up winning those games in hand, at least they have that extra little bit of a cushion there. I'll be honest with you, of those 3 teams, the one team that I look at and say could be first round upset material is Florida. You're playing a ton of hockey, number one. You haven't played with your full team. You're hoping Matthew Tkachuk can get back. You're hoping Brad Marchand can fit in, really find that role. But it's a lot in a short period of time. And you don't have Ekblad for the first 2 games, at least, of the playoffs. I think it is as well. Florida, is that a team that you look at and say, maybe the run ends? Tampa, I really love the goaltending, love the offense that you get from them. The defense is really strong. I mean, just look at the season goal differential for Tampa versus the other teams. They're at like a plus 70 or something like that, whereas the other ones are in that plus 30 range. So Florida to me is the team that you never want to say you want to play the defending Stanley Cup champs, the 2-time defending Eastern Conference champs. But of those 3 teams, I have my choice right now of opponent, which I don't. I'm picking Florida.
Yeah. Do you think Tkachuk is ready for game 1?
But careful what you wish for, though. That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
I think he will be. Yeah, I'd be shocked if he wasn't. Just knowing, the type of player that he is and what the playoffs mean to him, I would be surprised. But is he ready for game 1 and compromised? Right? That's the question. And if he's ready for game 1 and compromise, you're going to get the absolute guts out of Matthew Tkachuk. You really will. But is that going to be enough? And you had a lot of change here, and you got a lot of guys with now. It's not. They've made a lot of changes since the Cup run where they the run to the final where they lost to Vegas. I think still though 8 or 9 of the regulars are still from that team. But they've made some changes along the way, which you expect to do. Though it is a lot, right? It's a lot of hockey, in a condensed period of time, especially this season. And Tampa looks really good, and Toronto looks like maybe this is the team that can get over that playoff hump that they've struggled with. Though I'm not saying they'll beat Ottawa, but I think Ottawa will give them everything they got to handle it. They can handle if they play each other.
Well, see, the great part for me is if Florida wins, then you have a Tkachuk matchup, which will be fiery.
Of course.
And then if Toronto wins, you have Toronto, Ottawa, Florida, Tampa, which selfishly, that's the matchup I would like. And then we know that we're going to have Dallas and Colorado. Well, I guess it's not 100%, but it's pretty good when you look at the Jets and
pretty cool. Yeah.
And Edmonton and LA are pretty much locked in to face each other. It's just going to be a matter of, do they start in LA or do they start in Edmonton? So there are some really good matchups. The other one we know is Carolina, New Jersey. And right now, Dan, Carolina might have the easiest first round matchup. New Jersey just looks completely out of sorts.
Well, they do. And they're you take away number 1 center, number 1 defenseman, and another top 4 defenseman from any team, and they're going to be out of sorts. It's just, that's the way it is. And the Devils, let's not forget, the Devils were a team that last year, they weren't close, right? I mean, it really fell apart on them last year, and they finished way down in the standings. So the goal this year with Sheldon Keefe taking over was, let's get to the playoffs. Well, they're going to hit that goal, but they've had so many injuries along the way, and it's really been problematic for them. And now they're struggling. And you've got a team in Carolina that has looked great since the beginning of March, and really has nobody takes on the I heard somebody say this before, and I totally agree with it. Like, find me another team in the NHL that takes on the us against the world mentality better than the Carolina Hurricanes, right? Like, and that's they do that, and they've done it with the Rantanen stuff now. And Rod Brindamore is an excellent motivator. The difference is, and so this was pointed out to me, not this past general managers meetings, a previous one the year before. When you play the Carolina Hurricanes in the playoffs, they don't change their style. They will play man on man, and they will play relentless on the forecheck, and they want to possess the puck, and they don't change anything that they do. So if you're able to take them deeper into a series, that increases your odds because they become a little bit more predictable. This was pointed out to me, and it might be a reason why Carolina has not been able to leap really beyond the second round, if you will, or when they get to the conference final under Brindamore, they haven't won a game, right? Yeah. So I wonder if that plays into it at all with New Jersey. I don't know that it would, because I don't know if the Devils have enough right now. If they had Dougie Hamilton and they had Jack Hughes and they were ready to go and they had everybody firing, then I think, yeah, for sure they could do it, right? But they don't. So, but it could play a role in the second round. Like, that's where it could again for Carolina. I just thought it was an interesting point that they don't change who they are at all. And not that teams change who they are, but they'll make adjustments. The Hurricanes barely make adjustments. They just say, this is our game, beat us at it. And the later you get in a series with them, it might be you got to withstand the grind, but if you can withstand the grind, you might have a better chance because they're not a team that's going to run you out of the building with 5 or 6 goals.
Yeah, no, it's very true. And the other thing is they really lack like a superstar. They went out, they tried to get Rantanen, it didn't work, unfortunately, for them. And I still think at the end that's what they're lacking. Now, Dan, great stuff, man. Always good to catch up to you. We'll enjoy the stretch run here for the last 18 days of the regular season.
All right, man. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Awesome. That is Dan Rosen from NHL.com. Coming up, we got Cam Tate, Sean Brown will join us, Larac, Speck, Woodley. We got a loaded show. Lots of texts flying in, 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440, as you're listening to The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertip. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on PlayAlberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
Volvo Cars Edmonton invites you to their biggest sale of the year. The March showroom event is on now. Lease or finance a 2025 XC60 plug-in hybrid from 1.99% and save $3,500. Lease a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $5,500. Lease or finance a 2024 XC40 plug-in hybrid from 0.49% and save $2,500. Don't miss the March showroom event at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better service. Only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's Aquasential reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade. Safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies. With state-of-the-art motor coaches, we provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation. Our seatbelt-equipped buses have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, call 1-877-748-0991 or visit silentrides.ca.
Bringing every
83
project
shots.
to life requires
Two
the right
games,
team. By joining the
83
Japa Machinery
shots.
Group service or
For sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment, order today at cantorque.com.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440. Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope you're having a lovely day. The Oilers flew out to Vegas today. They will take on the Golden Knights tomorrow. No McDavid, no Ekholm, no Skinner. Trent Frederick is on the road trip, but isn't expected to play right away. Maybe later in the trip. There's a chance some of the Oilers' wounded players might join them on the road trip. Doesn't happen very often. Can't rule it out completely, but we'll see. So the Oilers, they're in a battle with LA for home ice. They each have 9 games left. The Oilers are 2 points back of LA. You could argue it's 3 points because the Kings have the tiebreaker with 6 more regulation wins. Now let's get to the 2-minute warning brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. They are hiring HVAC installers and plumbers. You want competitive wage, you want a hiring bonus, you want to get matching RSPs, tuition reimbursement, and work at a great company. Go to legacyheating.ca and apply. Today, Cam Tate, longtime journalist in town. Cam, of course, has cerebral palsy. He's in a wheelchair. Due to his disability, he was never able to be on radio until now. Through the wonders of technology, Cam's words come to life in the 2-minute warning.
83 shots, 2 games, 6 periods, 4, let's say it again, 4 goals, which brings up today's nagging question. Could the Edmonton Oil Kings use some, let's say this together, Christopher and Matthew, puck luck? The Oil Kings and the Prince Albert Raiders will face one another Tuesday night, as in tomorrow, in Game 3 of the opening series of the Western Hockey League Best of Season. Go round. The series is tied, 1 game apiece. Your Oil Kings found a lot of, I'm not sure what the right word is, GRIT, question mark. Sure, let's fire that up. Grit to win Game 1, Friday 3-1. An empty netter with 37 third period seconds was left the one that sealed the deal. Let's get to the shots. The Oil Kings, they outshot the Raiders 40-32 in the game with nada power play goals. The Oil Kings had 3-man advantages but didn't score. Now, here's a nugget for you and only you. The Oil Kings were 100% on the penalty kill. Didn't let Prince Albert get a sniff on their power play. Now, you would knew the Raiders playing in their own barn would mean business. Saturday night, Game 2. The good news for the Oil Kings, they did score on the PP. The bad news, they had 9 power plays. 9 Gregor, 1 for 9. And that goal coming. And the second period was the only goal. They scored in the Raiders' 6-1 win. But how about this? 43 shots on goal. 43 there, Connor Halley. Now you might want to cringe like I do when eating lemons at a 6-1 loss. Cringe. It's okay. Because in a long series, and I think we're in for a long series, you know you're going to have a stinker. You have to. And it's good to have a stinker in Game 2 rather than Game 6 or, heaven forbid, Game 7. So Tuesday night, Oil Kings, Raiders, Tuesday night. Tate can't wait. 2-minute warning. Gregor Show, Monday, Friday, Sports, 1440.
1440. Nice. Now, the Oil Kings, we said it before the series, the one strength of the Raiders is their power play and their goaltending. Their goaltending has been excellent all season, and probably not a surprise that through 2 games, the Oil Kings are averaging 2 goals a game. So obviously they're going to want to, Max Hildebrand he's pretty good. So, and really, I think they only scored 3 goals on him because 1 was an empty netter. So they will have to find a way. Now, the good news, if you continue to get that many shots, I think it's only a matter of time before you're going to break through a little bit. All right, what's Hildebrand running? I think like a 962, 63 save percentage through 2 games. So you have to attack them. You know what? You probably got to get a few more layered screens, get a little bit more traffic in front. But if you're going to the game tomorrow or Wednesday, look for the Oil Kings to control it. They've outshot them in those 2 games, 79-51 with the goalies in net. So pretty solid performances. I think they'll be happy they take the split, and now they come home and you have an opportunity to get a great seat for tomorrow night's game. I'll say that. You can get your tickets at EdmontonOilKings.ca. A lot of text flying in, 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Hey, Gregor, I'm a Bruins fan, but you heard it here first. The Oilers are in the perfect storm to win the Cup. McDavid is resting mentally. Draisaitl's on top of his game. Kane and Fredericks, difference makers. Older players will add another gear. Nurse is having a very good year, and their goaltending, I think, is good enough from Daryl. Well, we'll see. Now we have Daryl saying their goaltending's good enough, and then we have an old Stony Plain Eagle. It says Stephen Valiquette does goaltending analytics. Is Skinner dead last at lateral movement? Unless Skinner can change that, we won't win a cup with him in the net. We got to Game 7 despite him, not because of him. Well, I don't know if you can say despite him, because as I mentioned, in his final 15 playoff games, he allowed 2 goals or less in 11 of them. He was better than Jake Ottinger straight up in that series against Dallas. He stole them Game 6. I don't know if you can say they got to Game 7 despite Stuart Skinner. I think that's probably a little bit misleading. Could Stuart Skinner play better this year? 100%. But remember last year, Stuart Skinner, once Knobloch got hired, so that was 69 games, Skinner started 50 of them. In those 50 games, he led the NHL in wins. He was top 7 in save percentage, goals against average, and goals saved above expected. He played really well, so he's capable of it. He had 2 bad games against Vancouver in the playoffs, and people are freaking out like that's. In his other 21 games, he had a .916 save percentage and a 2.14 goals against average. Stuart Skinner doesn't need to be Hellebuck because he's not Hellebuck. I don't think he's capable of being elite like the other guys, but they just need Skinner to play solid. And as Woodley has outlined, he's going to join us today at 5:00. Every goalie has some weaknesses. What did they find out? What was one of the weaknesses of Hellebuck? Get screens. He's not great through screens. So Colorado did that. And I think Woodley chatted that 8 goals in those 5 games came off of not set plays, but shooting specifically with screens, have guys getting in his eyes. He struggled there by his standards. Even the best goalies in the league will have a weakness. We know that Stuart Skinner's off the rush, laterally, that's his weakness. Valid. Now, Woodley's even said that he's actually improved on that this season. But the Oilers, they still give up too many chances off the rush. And if you continue to do that, now that's where the majority of goals are going to be scored. So you're never going to completely eliminate it. But remember that last year, under Knobloch, the Oilers, second odd man rush chances against 5-on-5, second in high danger chances off the rush. So if you play to minimize the weakness of your goaltender, and you know where Skinner was top 5 on in-zone plays. So, hey, you want to cycle the puck around? That's where he's good. So you have to know what the strength and the weaknesses of your goaltender is. Now, obviously, Skinner's got to make a few more saves than he's made at times this year. And that's totally fair. It's totally fair. So now, is there a concern because of the Rantanen hit? My source tells me that they don't think it's long-term serious with Skinner. Usually you're in concussion protocol, it's a week. So that was last Wednesday, right? We said it last week. He was never going to play the game in Vegas. I don't think they're going to rush him to get there to San Jose. Maybe he joins the team Saturday for the game against the Kings. It's very possible. Or maybe they just wait and he plays Monday against Anaheim. And you get him back into the rhythm and away you go. They might not win the cup, but I just think it's a little disingenuous to say it's only going to be because of one specific player. So, hey, boys, how many goals did we score in Game 7? Has anybody won Game 7 by scoring 1 goal? Now, I do think so, Nagy. I think a team did win 1-0 in the Stanley Cup final. I can't remember the year, but I think it was way back when. So somebody has won it. But you're right. There's not many teams who win a Stanley Cup final, Game 7, by scoring only 1 goal. So, hey, Gregor, why'd you conveniently say his last 15 games? Because to say he couldn't have got to the Cup final without him. And Randy, I just said he had 2 bad games. Which part of this don't you understand? He had 2 bad games out of 23. Do you want me to repeat it 50 times? He had 2 bad games out of 23 in the playoffs. The other 21, he had a 2.14 goals against and a .916 save percentage. Go look at other goalies. 2.14 goals against. That's the number that matters way more to me than save percentage. Save percentage, at the end of the day, it's like shooting percentage. It's nice. It's not what winner loses you the game. Goals against matter. If you're averaging 2.14 over 21 games, you're playing pretty good. Like, this is not hard. Hey, Gregor, it seems that everybody remembers the 2 bad games against Vancouver, but seems to forget the whole series against Dallas. Selective memory. I hope their goalies figured out and can play better for the playoffs. Hope the Oilers make it past round 1. Trailer Park Ryan. Well, it is very true, Ryan, that the 2 games against Vancouver will stand out tenfold in their mind, and they won't even think. Like, Game 6 against Dallas was one of the best goaltending performance any goalie in the playoffs had last year. And Megan Scheika had it. There was 9 games of any goalie in the playoffs who had goal saves above expected, above 3, and Skinner had 3 of them. He had 3 of the 9. Bobrovsky had 3 of the 9. But no, Skinner had 2 bad games against Vancouver. That's all I can remember. That's all I can remember. Well, great. It just illustrates that you really maybe don't have the clue about what happened through the entire playoffs. Because that's the whole picture. The whole picture includes some bad games against Vancouver. It also includes some great games against Dallas and lots of other very good games. That's the whole picture. And if they can get, I'll tell you right now, if they get .916 save percentage and a 2.14 goals against average over 21 games in the playoffs, the Oilers got a really good chance to win. That's just a fact. So now whether or not he does it, I don't know. It's going to have to be a little bit more consistent than he has been this year. It's fair to say you want Skinner to be more consistent. It's disingenuous and inaccurate to say he wasn't good in the playoffs. 2 bad games doesn't mean he wasn't good. It means he had 2 bad games. 2 very different things. When we come back, Sean Brown will join us. Chat about the orders and defense pairs, the battle for the number 6 job. And it's going to be a little bit more of an open battle here because with Matthias Ekholm out, we had Stetcher and Eberson in. They're both playing tomorrow again. It's kind of like an open competition to see who's going to be the number 6 defenseman on opening night of the playoffs. Let's get to the comment and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home with no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace. Stay warm all winter. LegacyHeating.ca.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Late night on the ice with just 4 games on the schedule. At 5, you got the Wild taking on the Devils and the Flyers hosting the Preds. Then at 6:30, the Flames hit the Denver taking on the Colorado Avalanche. It all wraps up with an 8 o'clock game between the Kraken and the Stars in the association. You got the Jazz, Hornets, Pacers, Kings. Clippers taking on the Orlando Magic. Wizards host the Heat. Celtics up against the Grizz. Got the Thunder, Bulls. Nets in Dallas to take on the Mavericks, and the Lakers hosting the Houston Rockets. Major League Baseball today. Jays in action, kicking off a series against the Nationals. Bowden Francis gets a call for the Bluebirds. The Nationals countering with Calgary's Michael Soroka. Games going on right now. Royals beating up on the Brewers 11-1 in the 9th. Red Sox trail the Orioles 5-3. And the Rockies have a 1-0 lead over the Phillies in the bottom of the 7th. Earlier today, it was the White Sox over the Twins 9-0. Tonight, Braves taking on the Dodgers. Athletics host the Cubs. Tigers in Seattle. Padres meet the Guardians. And the Angels taking on the Cards. Women's basketball, March Madness. Elite 8 action tonight. At 5 o'clock, number 1 Texas takes on number 2 TCU. And then at 7 o'clock, number 1 USC meeting number 2 UConn. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by our co-host, former NHLer Sean Brown, also former NHLer George LaRocque, and Matt Barrett, voice of the Edmonton Oil Kings. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
This is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open
How
every
are
day
you?
till 2 a.m.
People are always curious. How are you? about what Welcome GS to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports. They know it's something to do with construction because it's in our name. But our work at GS Construction isn't just about the projects we do. It's about people. This season, you'll see GS Construction improving underground infrastructure in the places we call home. So we're looking for crew members to work with motivated and friendly team members. Sound like you? If you want to join a team that cares about the community, your community, visit gsconstruction.ca and apply today.
Day or night, tasting just so right. You can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. So stay on your couch all day and order oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle noodle.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310-GLASS or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
The Alzheimer's Face-Off presented by Christensen Communities Limited hits the ice April 25th to 27th, pairing hockey fans with some of their favorite players from the NHL Alumni Association for a fun-filled weekend in support of the Alzheimer's Society of Alberta and Northwest Territories. Friday features a Champions Luncheon followed by the teams hitting the ice on Saturday and Sunday in a friendly hockey tournament at Terwilliger Rec Center. To purchase a table to the Champions Luncheon or to learn more about how you can get involved in the tournament, visit alzheimersfaceoff.ca for more info.
Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for a restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations in Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, and Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
Don't settle for being on the rate of last resort if you don't have to be. Check your most recent electricity bill. If it says the words rate of last resort on it, then there are likely better options available for you. In fact, you could save hundreds of dollars per year by switching plans. Check your bill, then go to ucahelps.ca to explore your options. You will likely find a better rate and could have hundreds more in your pocket by the end of the year. A message from the Government of Alberta.
Imagine being the difference in a young person's life. At Big Brothers Big Sisters, we create life-changing friendships. Visit bigbrothersbigsisters.ca today to donate or volunteer. Your involvement can shape a future.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Japa is digging deep on their 50-year history of supporting Alberta's construction industry with their line of special edition blackout excavators. Visit japamachinery.com for all the details.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just after 3 o'clock. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope you are having a lovely day. Had a great weekend and feeling better than myself, I would hope. It's always nice. We welcome in to the show. It is the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Former Edmonton Oilers, our regular Monday co-host, Sean Brown, joins us. Brownie, how you doing?
Good to be back in the studio. Missed the snow. We were family was down in Calgary at my daughter's volleyball tournament. So
how was that?
Yeah, it was really good. Actually, it was a well-run tournament at the University of Calgary there. It was nice. Lots of good teams. They played lots of teams. You know how it is when sometimes you go away and you go to these tournaments and you play a lot of the same teams. This one was nice. We played a lot of different teams that we haven't played before. So good coaching, good team, good parent group. Broke a couple shovels coming back, having to get that snow off the driveway, all that wet snow. It's hard to find a shovel. I went to a few different places today and they put them all away.
Brownie, I can't believe you don't have my my shovel that I have. You have the old I have I take a shaft of a hockey stick, make a handle.
Yeah.
And I just have pieces of, you know how you have an 8-foot piece of plywood?
Yeah.
Right. And I get I use 1/2 inch because it's thick enough. And then I cut it into 4. So it's about 2 feet high. And then I screw 2 holes in it. And then I just attach the stick. And that's my handle. And the shovel's unreal. It's wide. It's 4 feet wide. It goes unreal.
Wow. I have some spare pieces of wood I might have to try that.
I might have to send you a photo of it. Thing's unreal.
That's not a bad idea. I got a lot of my old sticks kicking around that I had zero use for. So.
Oh yeah. Trust me. There's no goals left in them. Not that there's any to begin with. So that'll be good for you. The Matthias Ekholm, he's been a little bit banged up. So the rest of him, which I think is smart. And it really allows us to kind of see this ongoing competition for the third pair right defense slot. You have Troy Stetcher and you have Emberson. I think both of them are ahead of Klingberg at this point. Klingberg just, he's banged up. He just can't get healthy. He doesn't seem to be in rhythm. When you see Emberson and you see Stetcher, do you think these final 9 games, or maybe it's only 6 that they play in combined each, and do you see one as a front runner today to get that spot on opening night of the playoffs?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think both of them have had really good regular seasons to this point, and they're both obviously in the conversation. I think it's probably going to be a little bit of a moving target moving forward here. I think both of them, play with some grit, and some physicality in the back end, which is going to help both of them. Both of them are committed to blocking shots. You see Emberson throughout the season gain the coaches or Paul Coffey's trust. Seems to be putting him in a lot of different situations throughout the year as he's deserved it. And Stetcher as well. I think that we all know what we're going to get from him. He's an undersized defenseman that's going to get in there and compete and give it his all. When it's going to be tough, I think, coming down the stretch here. I guess the ability, to kind of move around, on the left side, right side, and I don't know if a guy's going to get in there and be locked in there and that's going to be it, or if it's going to be a situation where you're going to get in there and depending on the game and how you play and how the team plays, maybe there's, the platoon system where you're kind of in and out. But I guess for myself, from what I've watched, as much as I like Stetcher and what he brings, I do like Emberson. I do like, I like his poise with the puck, his confidence with the puck. I know he's had, moments and Stetcher has as well where, maybe the consistency at times, but I think coming down the stretch here, I do like Emberson. I do like his size a little bit more than I like Stetcher. So, but at the end of the day, I think the coaching staff has, some good options and some depth. And I think that's what you want coming down the stretch.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see both of them get in the playoffs, to be honest. You're right on Emberson's size. I think Stetcher's a little bit better of a skater. His puck handling's better for sure. So, that's ultimately what would separate them. Leon Draisaitl comes back in and just picks up right where he left off, gets an assist, scores a game-tying goal and a great shot, then scores the game winner in overtime on another great shot, Brownie. And, 51 goals now, fourth time in his career to have 50 goals, fourth time in his career to have 50 goals and 50 assists. And do you know there's only 8 other players in NHL history to have 4 seasons of 50 goals and 50 assists? Like, it's really hard to do. He's, your Gretzky and Bossy and Esposito and Dion and Yzerman and Lemieux and Yari Curry. Like, you're talking some of, the best of the best in that category. And I just, like Leon Draisaitl, it seems the longer he goes, I think people are starting to appreciate his game more. Like that ridiculous notion that McDavid makes him who he is, I think is finally being put to bed.
Yeah, that was, that was big for the Oilers, and that was big for him because, as well, the Oilers without those two in the lineup put together some pretty good games, but you could see that, the depth or the finishing touch, is it makes a big difference when you have those guys in that actually capitalize. And it just, his willingness, to see the team and where they were at, and they needed a win, right? They needed a win as a team and as a group. And he's probably not 100%, probably pretty close to it. But, the fact that it was like, he came into that situation and he's been an impact player all season. And I don't want to say that he's in the shadows of Connor McDavid, but, when you're up against McDavid, and you're still, he's just been consistently delivering. But, getting back to that game and the fact that it was a big game for him, to where he basically put the team on the back, and he doesn't need a lot, right? I mean, he doesn't need many chances to actually capitalize. He's just been a horse. I mean, he's been so fun to watch. He goes about it, differently than I would say McDavid. McDavid's a very dynamic, wow you with, out of your seat types of moves, where, Draisaitl's just big, heavy, protects the puck well, hard to get the puck off of. There's no one better in the league, or no one I've seen, that has the ability that he has on his backhand. Both sides of his stick, he's just phenomenal. And he really proved to the Oilers what he meant to the Oilers, and the fact that he's probably going to be the only 50 goal scorer this year in the NHL is just remarkable. I mean, we're very lucky, blessed to have a guy like that. But I was a Draisaitl fan, and I think it went up a couple points in that game, just watching him will his team to victory and just how he handled himself. He's a true superstar. And the names that you brought up, I mean, those are legendary guys, and he's right in that conversation of those great players.
Brownie, also in that game, after the Dallas game, Corey Perry was very open that he was pretty annoyed at himself. He didn't see Rantanen, make contact on Skinner, and not even that it was blatant or not, but you're like, well, why should he be touching your goal at any point in that area of the ice? And so then you have the Calgary game, and Perry, goes after Backlund just because he felt like, hey, Backlund, I don't care who's doing it. He's trying to send a message. I think gamesmanship, Brownie, is hard to quantify to explain it without showing it. And I think Corey Perry at lots of different times this year has shown it. I'm not sure there's a ton of other guys who necessarily grasp it. And do you think they can? Right? Like, could Podkolzin get more of it? Could Emberson get more of it? Do you think it really rubs off, or do you either have it or you don't?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess in some ways I think you have it. I think if, you really want to be an everyday NHL player, and put yourself in the category of a Perry, where I just, his gamemanship and the way he's come into the league and how he's just continued to add value. I thought coming into the season, I was like, you know what? I thought maybe he was a little bit older. Each year you get older and each year you get a little bit slower, but just his understanding of the game and the moment and what it needs is, it's impressive. It's hard to find those guys in, today's game, I guess. Right. I mean, I would put Jones in there too. I think that if you want to be an NHL player, I mean, that's, things that, that's what you got to do. And I think if those guys want to be in a situation where, Kane eventually comes back, Frederick eventually comes back, if you want to stay in the lineup, these are the moments that you're going to probably earn a little bit of confidence, a little bit of trust, and probably, have a better chance of keeping yourself in the lineup. That's clearly what, the Oilers need, is some grit. And as good as it is to see Perry doing what he's doing at his age, is it good? I mean, is it good the fact that, other guys aren't following? I think as a fan sitting there, it is a little bit of there is a little bit of frustration when you watch. I mean, Darnell Nurse has picked up his game, his physicality, and Perry. I mean, this is how you become team tough, is not only when one guy does it, but when it kind of goes throughout your lineup. So, I look for a guy, the names that you brought up, but I look for a guy like Jones that, was in the minors at one point in the season, gets picked up in a trade deadline. Like, here's your opportunity here to come in and, be a physical presence and understand the situation and what the situation needs. And I think if he really does that, he'll probably carve out some type of career for himself. But I think he's missing some moments. I think he's missing some moments where, where guys like that could take advantage of it.
Yeah, it's just, you see that from Perry. It's constant. I think it's an important part of the game. And I still believe strongly that Edmonton is a better team when the games get a little bit more emotional. They've got some guys who can elevate their game. And if I'm an opposing player, I'm trying to keep the game as non-emotional as possible. And so I think when you get Frederick and Kane, that's why I think their presence is going to make the games more emotional, and that helps a lot of their other guys. They don't have guys who necessarily will engage first on the emotional chart, Brownie.
You're right.
But once other guys do, they naturally say, okay, well, now I'm annoyed, right? And I'm in the game. And that's what I think Frederick and Kane might not necessarily be the goals and assists that they bring, but they'll bring in a heightened level of competitiveness. And I also think McDavid's going to be more physical in the playoffs. Basically, the coach said we told him to back off in the regular season. And when he plays that way, it just brings up everybody else as well.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it before. I mean, McDavid, at many different points of the season has been the guy that's been physically out there, not only skill trying to will his team into it, but even physically. And, you talk about Draisaitl. Draisaitl plays a tough, hard game. Hyman plays a tough, hard game. I do think at times that they are a reactionary team and can be a team that goes out there and initiates, right? A lot of, from what I see at different times, they're reacting. And like you said, I think when Kane, it comes by naturally. Frederick, I don't know as much, but from what I hear in the scouting report, he's a guy that just naturally plays that way. Right. And when those guys play that way, they drag other guys in. I mean, we've had Marty McSorley on the program before. There's probably been no one better at gamesmanship than a guy like that. And I remember playing with him later on in his career, and there was different times throughout, a game in the season that he'd be like, hey, Brownie, when we get up, our next shift. We're a little bit flat right now. Like, it doesn't have to be a fight, but when someone comes to the net and the whistle goes, there's got to be a scrum, right? Because when you get a scrum and you drag in 5 of the other guys, even though they're not fighting, right?
Yep.
Guys come in, they start pushing, stinky glove here and there, gets the blood boiling, gets guys talking, right? Gets the fans into it, and just adds a different dimension to the game. And he was a guy that, no one had a better understanding than Marty, and Perry's that guy for the Oilers right now that's going out there initiating and understands a situation. And it's a bit of that old school mentality that Podkolzin and Jones, like I said, I mean, those are things that those guys are going to want to pick up, because it's valuable. It's hard to measure that. It's a part of the game. It will always be a part of the game. And it's just, it'll be interesting to see when those guys come back. Does it spark? Does it kind of go through the lineup? Because Nurse is playing physical now, and when you have that team toughness, combined with the skill that they have, it's going to make them very effective, very hard to play against in the playoffs.
Jason Gregor, Sean Brown with you, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. When we return, one of Brownie's former teammates will join us. We'll talk about the Canadians. Can they make it? They're in a playoff spot today. They got the easiest schedule of those teams. Can they finish it off? We'll find out next on The Gregor Show. Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertip. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on playalberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
In 1973, deep in the basement of an Edmonton family home, an elite team of specialized forces came together to form Action Electrical.
Action Electrical Divisions, assemble!
Projects team reporting.
Service team reporting.
Testing team reporting.
Energy team reporting.
Supercharged with skills in their electrical fields and grounded by strong family values. Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Volvo Cars Edmonton invites you to their biggest sale of the year. The March showroom event is on now. Lease or finance a 2025 XC60 plug-in hybrid from 1.99% and save $3,500. Lease a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $5,500. Lease or finance a 2024 XC40 plug-in hybrid from 0.49% and save $2,500. Don't miss the March showroom event at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better service. Only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the #1 heating and cooling company for people who want heating and cooling, because you'll save a bundle by bundling. Then you can use hot, cold, hot, cold. Come on, thermostat, do what you're told. Turn up the heat, turn up the cold, to the vents start pushing out tornadoes. Put a live furnace with some AC. Gonna get a new from Legacy! Oh yeah, save a bundle when you bundle your new furnace and AC from Legacy today. Plus no payments and no interest for 1 year. That's how you build your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
At Papa John's, you get your everyday favorites for just $9.99 each when you order 2 or more items from the Papa Pairings menu. When you order more, you save more. Choose from medium one-topping pizzas, boneless wings, papadillas, breadsticks, cheese sticks, and desserts. It's easy to order all your favorites when they're just $9.99 each. So the next time your friends come over to eat your food, check out the Papa Pairings menu to save. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
At Fountain Tire, our focus is taking care of your vehicle. Your focus? Saving up to 25% off select tires. Plus, getting up to a $120 mail-in rebate on a set of 4 select tires until April 26th. So we both win. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
Are you looking for safe and professional travel options? Look no further than Silent Rides, one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies. Whether your group is big or small, Silent Rides has you covered. We offer state-of-the-art motor coaches, first-class service, and affordable rates. Get your quote today. For more information, call 1-877-748-0991 or visit silentrides.ca.
Farm, ranch, acreage, or lake lot.
They're here to help at Bashaw Concrete Products. Family owned and operated for 60 years. They continue to provide the best products and service, period. Call now for your free quote on the highest quality ready mix and gravel, a new septic tank, or an outhouse pad and tank, plus precast cattle water pads, garage sumps, and more. Call 780-372-3854 for prompt delivery. Bashaw Concrete Products, 780-372-3854. BashawConcrete.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by the Edmonton Oilers. Make sure you've got your spot inside Rogers Place for this year's Stanley Cup playoffs by becoming an Oilers half or full season seat holder for the 2025-2026 season. Head to edmontonoilers.com/season seats and don't miss out on great seats going on sale this Friday at 10 a.m.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
325. Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Sean Brown, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. As it's time to go in the room, brought to you by Action Electrical. Always reminding you to take action on your savings. You've been thinking about it. You want to get solar for your home or your business. It'd be a fantastic decision. They can walk you through it, get you all the savings. ActionElectrical.net. Former NHLer, of course, former teammate of Sean Brown. Also, of course, longtime radio host in Montreal. George Laraca joins us. Big George, welcome back to the show, my man. How you doing?
Hey, I'm so good. How you guys doing?
I'm good, man. Give us a sense, the Montreal Canadiens, it's been a while that they've been in a playoff hunt like this, and they're right in it. I would say they're kind of in the driver's seat right now. They got the easiest schedule on paper anyway down the stretch. 6 of their 9 games are at home. They only play, I think, 4 against playoff teams. The Bell Center is always a great atmosphere, George, but has it ratcheted up here the last few months? Because I think at the start of the season, there weren't many who expected the Habs to be in this position.
Before the season started, the goal of the team was to be in the mix. They didn't, even the team, they didn't think that they'd make the playoff, but they were hoping when you finish dead, you finished bottom 5 last year. So they're like, let's compete for a playoff spot without making it. In November, they were so far deep in the standing that people were starting getting mad and wondering if they had the right player for the rebuilding. But then something happens. Throughout the season, the players, they believed in it. And then they stopped winning some games. They played for 500. Dobes, when he started his career, 4 wins on the road. And then they started getting close. And the thing which is insane is the fact that every team battling in the East kept losing. So because of that, the team kept being in a mix. And now they're in a playoff spot and the city is buzzing because guys are like, you know what? Usually when you need 96 points to make the playoff, you might cut it 90. When you look at everything that is going on right now, the team is guys are believing in it. The city is behind them. And what's the most crazy about this, Jason, is they don't have a second-line center.
Yeah.
They have, Goulet's hurt. He just got back. You have a Kirby Dach that is done for the year. And then they're managing ways to win games and having help with other teams that are beating teams that are chasing them. It's magical what is going on right now. And as of now, they have 40% chance of making the playoff. If they do this, truly it'll be a miracle.
Georgie, what are your thoughts after the Florida game there when that Nico Mikkola took that slap shot? It looks like Montreal, they're playing them, tomorrow, Tuesday? What would you,
Yeah.
what do you expect in that game? Any fireworks do you think will come from that? Or is this the game too important for Montreal?
No, there's a code, right? So he only got I can't believe he only got 5,000 from the league for what he did, because that's an attempt to injure. Attempt to injure should be a game. And if he would have got David Savard in the head, which he tried to do, Savard would have been hurt bad. So I do expect, Xhekaj is probably not going to play because you don't change a winning lineup, but Pezzetta was playing, so you'll probably challenge him. But obviously nobody's going to take stupid penalty. But just, Jack Pezzetta doesn't play much, right? So, and because he's there, he's a kind of middleweight tough guy. You'll probably, go after him, settling this with him, so then they could move on, because it is too much of an important game to start taking stupid penalties. Because first of all, are you going to beat Florida back-to-back? I don't think so, even though they have the number this year. But it's a big game for Montreal, but even bigger, also big for Florida. They're battling for first in the division. But man, if somebody would have told me that Montreal would have beat Florida on the road with Marchand back in the lineup, I would have never believed it.
What'd you make of Marchand in that Florida lineup? How different does it look?
Well, Marchand is like, first of all, it's weird because it's like, if you can beat them, join him. Like the Florida has been knocking off Boston of the playoff, and now he's joining that team. So it's weird to see Marchand with that uniform. He played over 1,000 games with Boston, now he's in Florida. I could just imagine a line with Marchand, Bennett, and then Tkachuk. The most annoying line in the NHL history. Like, Marchand's a gamer, though. He knows how to win. He's a good player. And obviously, he's going to get better and better games on because he was hurt for a while. When Tkachuk comes in the playoff and stuff, that team obviously are the favorite to win the cup because, Seth Jones, all the acquisition, and Ed Blad's going to be back in the playoff too, even though he's going to miss the first 2 games. They're going to be the team to beat. They have a really good goalie. But, man, it's weird to see Marchand there. But what an acquisition that they did to make sure that they'll be playoff ready to maybe repeat a second time.
George, looking at, the Suzuki, Caulfield, Slavkovsky line, do you see that being like a line for the next few years? It's rare to have a trio stay together that long, but Marty St. Louis kept those guys together for long stretches here.
You know what's amazing with them is when you play Montreal, it's pretty simple. The plan is to neutralize that line because there's no one else. That's the only line that is dangerous. Yes, there is line A that is dangerous, but line A is only dangerous in power play. 5-on-5, he's worthless. He doesn't break. He doesn't stop. He doesn't do anything 5-on-5. He glides everywhere. In the defensive zone, he does circles. He doesn't even stay with his D-man. But in power play, with his shot, he's so lethal that his contribution is there. But that first line, even though they play against the best defensive line in the other team, they find ways to contribute, even though they're pretty much the only line that could score. That's why Montreal, they're working really hard. It's like they're going to work really hard in the offseason to get a second-line center because Demidov is going to come and they need to build a second line. So then there's 2 threats offensively. Because, Suzuki, he's probably going to do a point a game this year. Imagine that the first player to do this since Kovalev. Like, Suzuki will be the first one. Like, because we haven't had point a game player. And now he's having a hell of a season. What could you say about Lane Hudson that's going to break Lidstrom record of 60 points as a rookie season? He's going to break Larry Murphy's record. That guy's 5'9", 165-pound wet. And the stuff that he's doing is amazing to look at that. And I don't understand, and it makes no sense that with a few guys that contribute defensively, this team is in a playoff spot. That's why I say that it's magical. And sometimes when you say in life, when the stars are aligned, things are happening. And so far for the Montreal Canadiens, it is.
Georgie, I want to talk a little bit about the Oilers and Stuart Skinner. I don't know the exact number, but I'd say Skinner's probably been hit 4 or 5 times. As an Oiler fan and watching the Oilers, does that concern you being their number 1 goalie? And does it concern you the response when it's happened or the lack of response?
I watch every game that the Oilers play, and I watched that game when Rantanen ran into his head and another player, I don't remember his name, ran into him twice. And when I saw the non-response for the player, I was like, there's something wrong with that team. I don't understand why nothing happened. And I know I heard Corey Perry after the interview that said he didn't sit on the ice. And then he was mad that he didn't act on it. I'm sorry, but if you didn't see it, there's players that fight on the ice. Somebody should have told them. The thing is, a close team is a team that stays together. And it's not about just fighting, but it's standing up to your teammates and especially to your goalie. Because if you don't react when somebody runs into your goalie, well, other team sees that and they're all going to do it. So that's why I was very, very upset with the fact that there was no response to it. And now you lose your number one goalie, and it's not good. And now you're fighting for like home ice advantage with LA, playing in the seeding, right? So it was disappointing to see that. I assume that with the leadership in that room that the guys, they talk to one another so that this never happens again. But I was very surprised there was no reaction to it because, Rantanen is not a scary guy. So how hard was it just to jump on him because of what he's done? But because there was no reaction, it happened again. Man, that was bad, but hopefully this never happens again.
So do you feel, would it be a team thing, or is this an organizational, like where maybe they just don't value that as an organization?
No. Sean, it's not. First of all, this has nothing to do with the organization. This is the player. This is the leadership in that room. Guys know that you run into your goalie, you got to make the guy pay. So the team would never tell the guys, if Skinner gets run, let's not do anything. Let's just let the referee do their work. No, there's a code in the NHL. You don't touch the goalie. You touch the goalie, you pay the price. So it's just, and I'm so surprised because there's leadership in that room, and they should have never let that happen. You have to address it. So I'm sure after what Corey said in an interview, they did address it. But Sean, when stuff like this, look around the league, guys, they police themselves. When things happen, they do. That's what teams do. Teams that are tied together, that, you bleed for one another, you defend one another. So that's why in that regard, it comes from the leadership in that room to say something and to do something about it.
Yeah, George Larac joins us. I agree. It comes down to, and Perry even said, he goes, hey, we'll discuss it internally. I think it comes down to, I don't know why guys need to be reminded of it, but clearly they do, that, hey, you got to be a team, and it doesn't matter who it is. You don't have to be a brawler. You can jump in there in a scrum, and if you have 3 or 4 guys in a scrum, then you don't have to worry about getting beat up. Like, there's not that many tough guys around the league that are going to pound the hell out of you in today's game anyway. So to jump into a scrum, I don't think is that challenging. I want to go back to Montreal, and really, you mentioned Florida earlier, Toronto, Tampa Bay, and like you look at Montreal, they're going to if they make the playoffs, they're taking on Washington, and they got the great Ovi chase, but Washington's lost 3 in a row. Their coach came out and said, "Man, I'm going to have to change some things." He doesn't like the way his team's playing. If the Habs get in, George, could they pull off hey, we saw Boston get upset a few years ago with having the greatest regular season. Do you think they could, or because they lack, a second line, and you got to go up in a 7-game series against a really good team, that their lack of depth will ultimately cost them a chance to win a series?
Even though it's the best of 7, if the Habs plays Capitals, they're going to lose in 3. It's going to be so bad they're going to just forfeit the 4th game. Listen, if they make the playoff, that's their Stanley Cup. Montembeault is so tired right now. He's playing too much. They don't trust Dobesh as a backup, so Montembeault is playing too many minutes. This is his first year as his established number 1, but they have and he plays as many minutes as Hellebuck. So because of that, it's so hard on him. There's 1 or 2 goals a game now that he lets in that he should stop. But mentally and physically, he's tired. But the thing is, even a Montembeault tired is better than a Dobesh that is fresh, because Dobesh started well on the road his career, but he had no pressure. But these games that are must-win game with all the pressure, every game that Dobesh has, is too much pressure on him. So he has not been doing good at all. So now they're relying on Montembeault. So there's 9 games left. And to be honest with you, I don't even know that they're going to give one to Dobesh because he's doing so bad right now. So if they make the playoff, Montembeault will be so tired. And Josh Henderson is playing hurt. Armia is playing hurt. There's so many guys playing hurt. On the best of 7, a heavy team, talented team like the Caps are, it's going to be too hard, and there will be no upset. The upset is if they make the playoff. But other than that, no. Even Miracle on Ice, man, they can't even pray for that. There's no chance that could ever happen.
All right. Georgie, give me your thoughts on, right now it looks like they're going to play LA. Barring something unforeseen, it's going to be the Oilers and the Kings. You were there when the Oilers played the Stars every year. Now it's a little bit different because, there's no salary cap and the Stars were obviously a huge favorite. Now the Oilers did win the first one, but then they lost 4 in a row. Some people are concerned that, you can't beat the same team 4 years in a row. Well, Dallas did it. Montreal actually did it to Boston the last time it happened in the 80s. So tell me why you think the Oilers could beat the Kings for a 4th year in a row.
Okay, so first of all, I'm so happy that Dallas and Colorado, they play each other in the first round. That's perfect for us because it gives time for Frederick and Evander Kane to play a round and to be ready for that second round. So that's good because, first of all, when you talk about playoff and physicality, having Frederick and Evander Kane bring physical play in a playoff is going to be huge and so important. The thing is, the Oilers, with the team that they have right now, the Oilers are kind of like Tampa in a way that this team is going to cruise into the playoff every year. And it doesn't matter that they finish first, second, or third. When the Oilers needs to win a game regular season to make sure they make the playoff, they'll be in. They know that this group of guys now is the cup that they want. They came close last year. Unfortunately, Draisaitl, broken ribs, and Connor with abdominal problems. Not having the 2 best player at 100% hurt us a lot. But this team is better this year than they were last year. But LA is not better this year than they were last year. So I do think with the experience that we have, the firepower that we have, and the physical play, because Doughty is getting old, Kopitar is getting old. Dano is a shutdown guy that all he does is flash his guy. Forget it. They don't have the team to beat the Oilers. So I'm not even afraid with LA, even though they have a better goalie than last year. But we have the numbers every year, and you'll see that a former player that played with us that is over there is going to regret that he went to LA because he's going to leave in the first round again. And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the fact that, we play them again. We could play them 10 years in a row. LA is never going to scare me. Byfield is a good guy that doesn't play big in a playoff. I'm not worried about it and stuff. So no one should be worried about LA and stuff. No one should be.
George, always good to talk to you, buddy. I appreciate it, and we'll have to get you back on soon. We'll be watching close. I'd love to see the Canadians get in, man, because the Bell Center in the playoffs is a hell of a place to be.
Yeah, guys, you know what? Anytime, and to just let you know, don't forget to look out for Marcus next year. My son's going to probably be playing in the WHL with Seattle. Ooh. So watch him. He's the next Eric Lindros. Watch him.
Now, I hear he's got better hands than his father.
Yes, he does. He does. And actually, you know what? Jason, you probably do too. So,
well, no. Hey, buddy, you scored a lot of junior. And plus, there's not many guys who score a hat trick in the NHL, George. Don't forget that.
Yeah, that's true. But my son will score much more than I did.
Awesome. Well, we'll be looking forward to watching him. Thanks, George. Appreciate it.
Thanks, bro. Anytime.
George Larac. I always like Georgie Brownie. Brings the fire all the time. Now, you never had to fight, George, did you?
No, but I had to battle against that guy for a number of years, whether, in practice and I mean, and I've seen that and I wouldn't want to fight that guy, just to make that clear. I've seen what that guy has done, in the minors. I've seen what he did in the NHL, and you know what, he just, a lot of what he did was not necessarily for him. It was, obviously for his teammates and, playing the game the way he played and fighting the guys that he fought. Man, it was just, to be on the bench or to be on the ice and to actually see it. Wow. He's a big, powerful man. And if anyone, I mean, we all see Georgie walking the streets and at different games and stuff like that. Like, he's just a beast of a human. Like, for a guy that just, naturally, he obviously works out, but he's just a naturally big man. And if you ever seen the size of his legs, he's a beast. He's a big man.
Oh, yeah, he's a really big dude. 344, Jason Gregor, Sean Brown, Sports 1440. Matt Barrett will join us. More playoff talk coming up next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
At Papa John's, you get your everyday favorites for just $9.99 each when you order 2 or more items from the Papa Pairings menu. When you order more, you save more. Choose from medium one-topping pizzas, boneless wings, papadillas, breadsticks, cheese sticks, and desserts. It's easy to order all your favorites when they're just $9.99 each. So the next time your friends come over to eat your food, check out the Papa Pairings menu to save. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
If you or someone you care for are injured in a motor vehicle accident, please listen up. I'm Grant Fedoruk from Leading Edge Physiotherapy, and let me proudly say that we won't be the place your insurer tells you to go. We won't be the place because we don't sign agreements with the insurance company. We don't work for them, we work for you. We do want to be the place that your friends, family, and other medically trained professionals send you. So if your insurance company says that you have to see their therapist, you should know that's not true. You have the right to choose where you go, and we hope you choose us. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
Nuges Nuggets. This is Nuges Nuggets, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. What nugget of heating and cooling advice does Nuge have today?
You can save a lot of money by bundling your new furnace and AC with Legacy. It's kind of like saving money on an endorsement by bundling me, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, with someone like, Zachary Martin Hyman.
Thanks for suggesting me, Nuge. Get no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new AC and furnace from Legacy Heating and Cooling. Proud sponsor of Nuges Nuggets.
I take possession of my commercial space in 3 months. I need lighting. I need a fire alarm. I need data. I need a generator. I need panels.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Projects team reporting. We design, build, and construct all the electrical systems for your projects. Need everything to work right? Get the Action Electrical project team on your site.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Adventure just doesn't stumble into your life. It roars to life with Riverside Motorsports. Tearing up trails or cruising the open road. Yamaha ATVs, side-by-sides, motorcycles, and dirt bikes deliver the performance you crave. Built for thrills, ready for your next adventure. Yamaha's legendary performance and reliability take you there. Make Mother Nature your playground on a Yamaha from Riverside Motorsports. Located on St. Albert Trail. RideRiverside.com. Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Feeding a crowd, get the triple play. 3 large specialty or 5 topping pizzas for only $54 when you use promo code 3play at papajohns.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.348. Welcome back. Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sean Brown with you as it's time to get to our WHL report brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where the rates never change. All of a sudden, your furnace conks out. Call them late. No overtime charges. That's how you build a legacy at legacyheating.ca. WHL playoffs, of course, all 8 series have played 2 games. The Oil Kings and Prince Albert will now switch to Edmonton for tomorrow and Wednesday night, games 3 and 4. Voice of the Oil Kings, Matt Barrett, joins us. And Matt, I'm sure the Oil Kings, if they look on the shot clock, they'd be pretty happy. They generated a lot of shots. They only scored 3 goals with a goaltender in net, of course, winning 3-1 with an empty netter on Friday and then losing 6-1. So I guess let's start with the offensive side. Is it just a matter of finishing? Do they need more traffic in front, layered screens? What has to happen for them to get a few more goals with the amount of shots they're getting?
Yeah, I think a little bit more traffic in front would be nice. And I think if you're a coach, you always want more traffic in front. The more chaos in front of a goaltender, the better probably. That'd probably be the biggest thing. A little bit of execution maybe on the power play. But I think the Oil Kings did a lot of good things on Friday and Saturday, and they're just looking to build off it and coming home with the split. I think you're pretty happy in the grand scheme of things.
What about defensively on Saturday? Was 6-1 reflective? Like, you have that many shots, but you get outscored. What happened?
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think the third period maybe gets away from you a little bit. And I think heading into the third, you thought the Oil Kings still had a shot and were still in the game and kind of outplayed them, especially looking at the shot clock. And I don't think the score was totally indicative of how the game itself went. I think PA gets 2 on the power play, Edmonton gets 1. I think there's a bit of a story there. And Max Hildebrand was excellent for Prince Albert. And that's kind of been the story all year for Prince Albert is big when it comes to their success. If Max Hildebrand plays well, Prince Albert's always got a shot to win.
Can you maybe give us an update on the young defenseman Blake Fiddler, Vern Fiddler's son? Big year, big draft year for him. How is he doing so far in the first couple of games?
Yeah, he's looked good. I think I don't know if you worry, but you wonder, for some young players that haven't played WHL playoff hockey, how they're going to adapt and react. And I think Blake was fantastic, played a lot of big minutes there on Friday and Saturday. And that's what he's done all year. And he's consistently improved his game throughout the year. And he's really an impressive player. And, a big piece of this blue line for the Oil Kings. He looks really calm out there, confident, and him and Josh Morey really form a formidable duo out there.
Matt Barrett joins us talking Oil Kings playoffs are taking on the Prince Albert Raiders tomorrow and Wednesday night for games 3 and 4 in Edmonton. Tickets available at edmontonoilkings.ca. Matt, you look at the Oil Kings, and now they've got home ice and last change. Are there certain matchups that you see them looking for? Are we going to have a heavy matchup game at all on home ice?
Hard to say. I think the biggest matchup, if you're the Oil Kings, is to get certain guys out against Tomas Mersic is kind of their big guy when it comes to the Prince Albert Raiders. So, I think they're happy with a lot of different guys matching up against Mersic. I think they're happy if Grayson Sauchin's out there against Mersic. I think they're happy if Marshall Finney's out there against him. And I think they're happy if a guy like Rylan Roseman or Cole Miller are out there against him as well. So I think it could be a variety of different guys. But I think the home ice advantage with the last change is just a matter of maybe getting some favorable matchups outside of that for your group. And I think that's the biggest thing that the Oil Kings will look to take advantage on home ice, and maybe being able to roll 4 lines. They did a pretty good job of it in the first 2 games, but I think this might even open it up a little bit more.
So with the Oil Kings, it's been a while since they've been into the playoffs. It's every team has that cycle where you win a Memorial Cup and then you kind of got to rebuild. Where are the Oil Kings now? Because I've watched a couple of games and it looks like they got a lot of really good, young, promising players. Where do you see them not only making the playoffs this year, but what team do you kind of see them in being in the future?
Yeah, I mean, you look at it, they've got a lot of really good young players, Blake Fiddler being one of them, obviously. Joe Ginla's another one. Caden Strader's an 09 that they drafted this past year. Looks like he's going to be a really good player. And you just keep going down the list. Ethan Simcoe's only an 06. And just you keep going down, there's a lot of really good players. Lucas Sauchin's an 07. So this team's kind of on that upswing when it comes to that junior hockey cycle. And it's exciting if you're an Oil Kings fan to see that swing, that hill start going up a little bit, right? And seeing that the ups and downs of junior hockey cycle are coming to the point where your team is really competitive again. And this is kind of right where this was expected. The team's competitive again, and we're fighting. They were really good into the playoffs. They were really up for that 5 seed probably up until the last month or so of the season. So they're right where they want to be. And I think next year it's taking another step forward in terms of that cycle and being a really good hockey team.
Matt, look, you mentioned they'd want to be more effective on the power play. The Oil Kings had 12 power plays in the first 2 games. The Raiders had 11. Easily the most penalized series through 2 games. But the Oil Kings only scored 1 goal. The Raiders scored 2, but they did give up a shorthanded goal. So, really both teams were only +1 on the power play with lots of chances. Was it chippy? What do you make? That's a pretty high number of power plays for a playoff series thus far. And specifically for the Oil Kings, what do they need to see more of on their power play? What weren't they doing?
Yeah, I think firstly that the power play is, I think, getting to the middle of the ice and being more aggressive when it comes to the opportunities that they want on the power play and getting to the middle, like we talked about, getting more traffic in front. The two kind of go hand in hand with that, and getting to the middle of the ice, creating traffic in front, kind of making life difficult for Max Hildebrand, not letting him see a lot and getting more of those second chance opportunities and not the one and dones where you fire it, it's into his equipment, he holds on, and you got to face off and you got to do it all over again. You want more of that chaos in front of the net, especially on the power play, and get set up, get your opportunity, crash the net, try and jam a few home. That's how Lucas Sauchin scored on Saturday night. As for the physicality of it and the penalties called, I'm not a referee. I don't foresee to know the thought processes when it comes to that kind of thing. But yeah, it was a physical series. It was emotional the first 2 games, and I think we expected that. And we'll see how that kind of changes after a couple days and coming back to Edmonton now, and we'll see how it changes based on, how the emotions go in that game and how the officials want to call it. And you just kind of got to adapt to how the game is being called in that sense.
Can you maybe talk about Luke Pierce too, the head coach? Obviously, he's done a terrific job getting his team to the playoffs, but maybe talk a little bit about how he's kind of managed these kids and put kids in situations to succeed.
Yeah, he's done a great job in kind of letting the players, be talented players like they are, and putting them in opportunities to succeed. And you just look at the progression the last few years, and look at a guy like Adam Yeko, who's taken big steps, and Gavin Hodnett's a captain now, and just the guys who have been here for Luke Pierce's, I guess, entire head coaching tenure, and kind of around that time, he's just done a great job of managing this team and being able to put guys into opportunities that to succeed. And he's done a great job he's an emotional guy, and it's great to see. And I think the players feed off it, and it's awesome. He's an excellent coach, and he's done a great job here bringing this team to where they are today.
Well, Matt, enjoy the series. It should be a great one, and I know there'll be hopefully a good crowd tomorrow and Wednesday. The Oil Kings and the Raiders. Lots of people. I saw a lot of the WHL prognosticators thought this was going to be a long series, and the first 2 games definitely showed it's one that probably has 6 or 7 written all over it.
Yeah, it certainly does. Don't forget Wiener Wednesday on Wednesday night for game number 4. So bring it on for $2 hot dogs. Gotta love it. Oil Kings are the best value in the city, so can't miss these 2 games.
$2 hot dogs. Brown is probably already going. I like it.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. Have a good one.
Thanks, guys.
There you go. That's Matt Barrett, voice of the Oil Kings. $2 hot dogs. Whew.
I know Radomski will be all over that.
Oh, yeah. Well, why wouldn't you, man? And they're like, now, I don't know if you'd think at some point some of these other places say, let's warm our buns up like they do in Montreal. It's a game changer, man. It's a game changer.
He is right, though. I mean, they do a phenomenal job there, just, with their PR and just even, if your kid is lucky enough to be a part of that program, it's amazing what they have and what they have access to, obviously being, aligned with the Edmonton Oilers. But, I remember coming out of junior, I thought we were treated pretty good in junior, and we were, but there was a definite wow factor when you went to your first pro camp. And, you look at these kids now that play junior and the opportunities they have and the swag and the different things they have access to, custom sticks, custom skates. What I often wonder, like, what is the wow factor when you actually go to an NHL camp? I mean, kids now almost, in minor hockey, you see kids with custom sticks. I didn't get a custom stick. I don't think I got a custom stick until I actually turned pro, so it's amazing what these kids have, and the Oil Kings are probably, I would say, would have to be at the top as far as how they treat their kids on and off the ice. Those kids go without, they don't go without, which is good. It's a credit, and that's why they have good players. That's why they have such a good reputation. It's a very well run organization.
358, Jason Gregor, Sean Brown, Connor Halley with you, Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Now let's get to the Sports 1440 update, brought to you by Booster Juice, where stop in right now, Booster Juice. If you want some new flavors, the guacamole chicken panini, I tried it, unbelievable. Now, granted, I love guacamole, but I would highly recommend that and a few new flavors right now at Booster Juice.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
The Edmonton Oilers have signed college-age defenseman Damian Carfagna to a 2-year entry-level contract starting next season. The 22-year-old has 7 goals and 21 assists this season with the Ohio State Buckeyes. On the ice tonight at the NHL level, you got 4 games. The Wild take out the Devils, Flyers host the Preds, Flames in Colorado, and the Kraken up against the Stars. In the association, it's a busy one. Jazz in Charlotte, Pacers host the Kings, Clippers taking on Orlando, you got the Wizards and Heat, Celtics, Grizz, Thunder host the Bulls, Nets in Dallas, and the Lakers taking on the Houston Rockets. Major League Baseball tonight, the Jays kicking off a series against the Washington Nationals in Toronto. Jays will send Bowden Francis to the mound. Nationals countering with Calgary's Michael Soroka. Elsewhere, Mets taking on the Marlins, Reds and Rangers. Pirates travel to Tampa, taking on the Rays. The Astros hosting the Giants. You also got the Athletics and Cubs meeting in Sacramento earlier today. Royals beating up on the Brewers 11-1. White Sox did the same to the Twins, winning 9-0. Red Sox falling to the Orioles 8-5, and it was the Phillies over the Rockies 6-1. Women's basketball March Madness rolls on. Elite Eight action getting going at 5. Number 1 Texas takes on number 2 TCU, and then at 7 o'clock you got number 1 USC battling number 2 UConn. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and Ask 5 Questions. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
At Papa John's, you get your everyday favorites for just $9.99 each when you order 2 or more items from the Papa Pairings menu. When you order more, you save more. Choose from medium one-topping pizzas, boneless wings, papadillas, breadsticks, cheese sticks, and desserts. It's easy to order all your favorites when they're just $9.99 each. So the next time your friends come over to eat your food, check out the Papa Pairings menu to save. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
The locks are on a timer. They're going to get out.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Service team reporting. With the remarkable reach of our bucket trucks and other equipment, we assess, service, and maintain your electrical lighting and automation systems.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the #1 heating and cooling company for people who want heating and cooling, because you'll save a bundle by bundling. Then you can use hot, cold, hot, cold. Come on, thermostat, do what you're told. Turn up the heat, turn up the cold, to the vents start pushing out tornadoes. Bundle my furnace with some AC. Gonna get a new from Legacy! Oh yeah, save a bundle when you bundle your new furnace and AC from Legacy today. Plus no payments and no interest for 1 year. That's how you build your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Your all-access pass to the world of sports is Edmonton's only sports radio station.
From pre- and post-game hockey shows to in-depth analysis from your favorite commentators, the action never stops on Sports 1440.
Summit Restaurant, located in the heart of the Silent Ice Center and just minutes from South Edmonton Common. Summit is your destination for exceptional house-made pizza, delicious entrees, and expertly crafted cocktails. Experience the perfect blend of flavor and ambiance in a modern setting. Join us for a straightforward yet elevated dining experience where our commitment to quality speaks to every bite and sip. Make Summit Restaurant your next night on the town.
Dang. Last season, you bought new clubs to fix your game. You spent the entire season trying to learn how to hit with your magic clubs. And guess what? Dang. They didn't help your game. Now you're convinced it's your swing, but it really is your clubs. Even though you were told the ones you bought were the best ever made, if they were, you would have gotten better. Every day at Fitted Golf, we continue to prove the right clubs make all the difference in the world. From beginners to pros, Fitted Golf makes all the difference. Yes, fittedgolf.ca.
At Hughes, it's all about getting in and out quick and clean. No cash, no problem. With Hughes' new tap and wash system, all you need is your debit or credit card to get your vehicle sparkling clean.
Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. The team in Old Strathcona has special training dedicated to reducing the impact of cancer care before, during, and after your diagnosis. From lymphedema to the management of fatigue and side effects of chemotherapy and radiation, they can help. Learn more at leadingedgephysio.com.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
404. And there's always some weird things that you read, and you always wonder, is this real? Is this do I have to click on this? Is it spam? There's a title, Jessica Simpson has one secret for good vocals: snake sperm. And you're just like, what? Like, so yeah. I don't know how you find out that, but I don't know. We'll see if it's true or not. I'm not sure she's should be the ground zero when it comes to great vocals, but we'll see how it goes. Welcome back to the Gregor Show. Jason Gregor, Sean Brown with you. Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X, as always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Get in the game. Use the promo code Gregor50. It's your last day in March. If you've been waiting, you might as well use it today. Gregor50. That's Gregor50 at PlayAlberta.ca. Oilers are en route to Vegas, and a little breaking story. A little birdie has told me that Evander Kane. Now, we knew that Trent Frederick's on the trip, but it sounds like Evander Kane made the trip, although I don't think he's going to play. And also Connor McDavid, which means that maybe he'll be playing some point on the trip. So interesting as we get to the spec report brought to you by GS Construction, your underground infrastructure specialist. Over 50 years in business, fantastic company to work for. They're hiring. Go to Indeed.com and look up GS Construction as we welcome in Spec. Spec, how you doing?
Doing pretty well. You don't sound like you're doing great. How's your voice going?
Well, it's not voice. Yeah, it's not great. It's not. I got sick yesterday, and I don't like bringing it into the office. So Cons has a young child, so I thought through the wonders of technology, I can do the show from home for a few days. So limit the chance of, and Brownie's pretty soft too, so I didn't want to get him sick either. So
yeah,
I'm sure you were thinking of us, Gregor.
Oh yeah, I am. Spec, let's start with Leon Draisaitl, and what a return to the lineup for him, an assist, and then two huge goals. Goal scorers goals, 50 and 51. He scored 50 goals 4 times now. Got his 50th against the Flames in 2009, 50th against the Ducks in 22 and 23, and his 50th against the Flames in 25. And he keeps joining more exclusive clubs all the time. There's only 15 guys who have scored 50 goals 4 times. There's only 9 guys who have scored 50 goals and 50 assists 4 times. None of them are active. Like, he's somewhat of a unicorn, Spec.
Yeah, the 50-goal, 100-point man, as the guys in the Oilers call him, a pass-first 50-goal scorer. That's the best player in the National Hockey League. Like, that guy. If you're a 50-goal, 100-point player, that's – a lot of the great scorers have scored a lot of goals and didn't pass much. I'm still not sure what you call Leon Draisaitl. I think we all decided Wayne Gretzky was a better passer than he was a scorer. I don't know what Leon Draisaitl is, frankly. I know that the players once voted him the best passer in the league one year, and he scores 50 every year. So what do you think? Does he, what's he better at?
That's a good question. I might say he's a better passer because he's an elite on both his forehand and his backhand. So I might go with passer because now I was crunching the numbers, Spec. He has got a very good chance. So he's got 398 goals. So he needs 302 goals and 444 assists in 10 years to become only the 5th player in NHL history to have 700 goals and 1,000 assists.
Wow.
And those numbers are very doable when you consider he's probably going to play for another decade.
Yeah, listen, I did a piece when he scored the other night. I just had some comparables in my piece to some of the great European players. And in terms of guys who have scored 50, it's amazing how many of the guys you consider to be the best players ever never scored 50. Neither of the Sedins ever scored 50.
No.
And great players. And how many guys only had like one 100-point season in their whole career that are now gone? The guys like Marian Hossa, who's in the Hall of Fame. And there's the pieces out there. I wrote it on Saturday night, but it's amazing the list of guys that I consider to be great, great players who Leon Draisaitl at age 29 has already really surpassed them in terms of production. So he's got a half a career to go here. Like, he's just probably starting the second half of his career. And hey, man, he walks into the Hall of Fame. You could say that already. He's not even 30 yet. Right? Say it already. So it is amazing. And the show of force that he gave on, on Saturday night, I mean, every time he stepped onto that ice, the game shifted into Edmonton's favor. It was unbelievable. Now, Kadri did a little bit of that for Calgary. I want to say he was really good, but Draisaitl just won the day. He was the best player, and he came back healthy. And oh my God, was he good on Saturday?
You know what, guys, that I find is amazing is in today's game where there's no secrets, right? Where there's so much video, guys are so well coached. Everyone knows the systems and what guys' strengths and weaknesses are, and he's still able to perform and do what he's doing. That's the one thing that gets me is the fact that we all know what's coming, and they're still able to deliver. And then the consistency of what they do is just, special.
Well, and Brownie, remember there's some guys around the league here, like the guys in Toronto who are really good regular season players, and 7, 8, 9, 10 years in their career, we're still waiting for them to do it in the playoffs. This guy does it in the playoffs at an amazing pace. And then there's other guys, players who are really good players when they're healthy, but the minute they get a nick, they can't play, or they don't perform, or they don't produce. This guy, remember we went through that playoffs a few years ago with the ankle sprain. He had 32 points in 16 games in playoff hockey playing hurt. So, there's nothing that he doesn't do. That's the point for me. He does everything that you can't find a part of his game. Pass, shoot, produce, play hurt, postseason, regular season. It's all there, man. It's all there.
Well, he's good on face-offs. He's really improved his overall defensive game. You look at his possession numbers. It's really impressive. To me, I know even he missed some time. He's still got to be right up there as one of the favorites for the Hart Trophy this year. It's going to be tough to win the Art Ross, because now he's got to gain 5 points on both McKinnon and Kucherov in a short window. And I'm sure he doesn't necessarily care about that much, but still, it's a great year. It's good timing for Edmonton. They need that win. Now they go on this road trip, Spec. And obviously I know they would like to get home ice advantage, but the fact that Skinner and Ekholm aren't going kind of illustrates that, they'll take health over home ice at this point.
Yeah, I wrote that today, piece that should be up by now. I agree with you. I think the whole season's been a bit of a weird season, I think I don't have any proof on this, but this is a team that felt like it ran out of gas in the play, against Florida last year. They started that series, they lost 3 in a row. Nobody on the Oilers in games 1, 2, or 3 had more than 1 point except for McDavid. And I feel like they've sort of been a team trying to have something left at the end of this season. And I'm not saying they haven't been trying, but, there's a lot of guys that haven't had great seasons this year. And I think we're at the end of it, Jay. What I'm getting out of this is, McDavid's going. I doubt very much he plays a game on this trip. I think that they'll take a bunch of guys who are healthy on game 1 of the playoffs over where they finish all day long. Health over placing every day for this team.
Spec, I'll ask you the same question I asked George. You watch Stuart Skinner get bumped into a number of times throughout this season, and not that it's an organizational thing, but maybe a coaching, maybe there isn't maybe as much value. I know when I played, if you did certain things, the coach had a way of rewarding you. Does it concern you that their top goalie's been bumped into as much as he has? And you look at that Dallas game, Sam Steele did it twice. It's not like he strikes the fear of God in anybody. Mikko Rantanen, these are to me lost opportunities for guys like Janmark and Jones and Emberson and Stetcher. Stetcher was there on one of them. Does it concern you that, there was nothing that was initiated by it?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I'm old school when it comes to those things, Brownie. I didn't like the reaction against Dallas one bit. I've watched a coaching staff all season long that clearly does not prioritize really team toughness or protecting each other. There's no one ever seems to miss a shift if they stand around. Well, the other day Jones was mixing it up and there was nobody came to his aid for about 30 seconds to jump into the scrum with him. The goalie thing was an embarrassment against Dallas. So listen, I don't think this coaching staff prioritizes it, guys. I don't think that it's something they talk about, but I do know this. Curry Perry said to us media guys after that Dallas game that they would handle it internally, and they came out against Calgary, a way tougher team, throwing way more hits, and anybody who came near Pickard in that game found an Oilers defenseman right in his face. I even saw Bouchard give Uyghur a pop, and Uyghur was a little surprised, like, what are you giving me a pop for? And I thought Bouchard's probably thinking, because Corey Perry said I'm supposed to.
Although the other thing, I will give Bouchard credit. The last 2 playoff years, I thought Bouchard's intensity, like in scrums, he was hitting guys like, and I know some people get upset about, I think Bouchard takes probably too much flack, just like for many years Darnell Nurse did too. And people will get upset about the defensive plays he makes, but that pass that Bouchard made on Draisaitl's tying goal last night, like he had the puck for barely a second to put it right there in front of him so he picks it up in flight. Like those, if he doesn't pick that up in flight, the play doesn't happen, right? And so, but Bouchard to me, I don't get too worked up about his lack of intensity in the regular season, because you showed it to me 2 years in a row. He can elevate his intensity. And so I give him the benefit of the doubt. Whereas if I was a Toronto fan, I'd be annoyed because I've never seen my top guys, elevate in the playoffs.
Listen, I couldn't agree more. And we have seen a lot of these guys play playoff hockey at the highest level. And we've seen how this team can go out into the 4 rounds here and, and not just last year, right? They played 2 rounds the year before. They played 3 rounds the year before that. So I have no doubt this team has got what it takes to win a Stanley Cup at some point. But I will say to you that there are a lot of guys here who have to get their games to a new level for playoffs. It's not just 1 or 2. There's a room full of them here. And that makes me think that, are they all going to get there? If they do, stand back, right? But that's a big ask to get that many guys, in my opinion, to find the level that we watched them all play at a year ago. Is that fair or what?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's totally valid to think that like last year, to think Bouchard's going to set a record, McDavid's going to get 40 points, the penalty kill is going to only be -1. Like that's pretty unrealistic. They're going to have to win a little bit different this time, and they're going to need other guys going. And talking about injuries, the fact that Trent Frederick's going on the road trip is a huge sign that he's trending in the right direction finally. I know Knobloch finally admitted they had a little bit of a setback, which I reported last week, because he skated on a Monday and then didn't skate again for a week. And so I think he's probably 2 weeks behind. Originally, they were hoping he would be playing last week, and now he's not. But the fact he's going on the trip, A, it allows him to get to know his teammates a little bit better. But B, he's going to skate, and, there's at least an outside chance that maybe he plays in that game in Anaheim.
Well, in Anaheim, I don't think he needs a whole bunch of games, but you'd sure like to see him play. What do they got? 9 left, 4 on this road trip, so 5 more when they come home. That's enough. If he got 5 in, that'd be great. I'm not that worried about it. If he gets 4 in, that'd be great at this point. McDavid, same thing. How many do you think McDavid really needs before the playoffs start? I don't care if he only plays 3. That's enough. It's not. It's all about health, especially for McDavid. He's got some kind of groin or abdominal thing going on here. If he plays only 2 regular season games, who cares if LA passes him, man? If Connor McDavid is going to be at absolutely 100%, and Ekholm and Skinner, right, and Frederick, all of a sudden, I don't mind the look of that team wherever they open the playoffs. Anyhow,
just coughing there, but
I know I caught you.
Looking at the orders, the number 6 spot, Spec, we got Emberson and Stetcher now. Rarely do they both play in the same games, but they're going to here moving forward for a bit. Do you still have Emberson as the guy who will play game 1, or do you think Stetcher?
I don't know. I think the coaching staff, just going by the last couple of weeks, I would have Stetcher. They're playing him more than Emberson. I think they're 2 different guys. They're 2 different players. But I guess if you're asking me to pick one, I'm picking Stetcher. Maybe it depends on my opponent, how physical it's going to be. Stetcher's smaller, Emberson's a little bit bigger, but I'm not sure Stetcher doesn't have a little more kind of courage. I'm not sure. What do you think, Brownie? Which guy, if you're looking for a number 6, which guy do you like?
Yeah, you know what, Spec? I think it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before when certain situations happen in a game and there's opportunities for guys to step up and protect a goalie or protect a teammate. This is what I'm talking about, where I think this can put you a Stetcher ahead of Emberson or other guys ahead of, Podkolzin, ahead of Kapanen, because we know that Frederick and Kane and those guys are going to come. They're going to come back. Ekholm's going to come back. Klimberg's going to be waiting, to see where he's going to be slotted in. So that's what I'm saying is like, you talk about that toughness and the grit, if I'm a player coming down the stretch here, I'm looking, especially those rolled guys, I'm looking for those opportunities where I can maybe show the coach and my teammates and try and separate myself so that it's like, hey, I get the tap going into the playoffs. I myself, like Emberson, I feel like he's just, a little bigger. I think he handles the puck a little bit better. Obviously, if you're getting out of your zone a little bit cleaner and making some more plays, it only is going to benefit the skilled Oiler forward. So, right now, I would say Emberson's got a little bit of an edge on Stetcher.
Yeah, I think. And Klingberg, do we all agree that Klingberg's number 8? Is that fair?
Yeah,
I mean, he's hurt at the moment, so yes.
I think it's tough. I mean, you miss as much hockey that he's missed. It's the NHL and it's not an easy league. And I thought picking him up and was excited about the opportunity. I think there's probably a little bit more that I'd like to see. He's probably still trying to find his game and kind of feel where he fits in on this team. But yeah, I think I have him. I'd say I have him on the outside looking in. You, Spec?
Oh, for sure. I mean, he's, like I say, he's injured. And I don't think he's shown that, if they know what, I guess what I'm trying to say is, did it turn out to be a good gamble spending the 1.7 of cap space on Klingberg? Probably not if he's going to be a number 9 around here or a number 8. I would say the answer would be no. But you know what? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Maybe like you got to sign a guy and figure out. He could have been, it might have worked out. I don't think it really did work out to their satisfaction. In the end, you got a veteran guy. If you get 2 injuries in the playoffs, you're not bringing in some guy who spent the whole year in Baco. You got a veteran guy who's played in big games. He's an NHL player. I guess that's looking at the sunny side of this thing. I'll say to you that they probably wanted more out of this player when they signed him for what they did.
Oh yeah, I don't think it's worked out at all. For being bluntly honest, like 1.75, you could have used that somewhere else for sure. So, it was a gamble. They don't all pay off, but that one definitely hasn't worked out.
Yep.
Now they have depth, and that's probably why they went and got Jake Wallman. But I think maybe they would have got Wallman anyway. But because the Wallman trade I think is going to work out very well for them. I've liked how Wallman's played, and I think that I'm obviously curious to see how he handles the playoff pressure. It's totally different, and not every guy elevates his play all the time. I don't know if he can be Brett Kulak. Most people call, like playoff Brett Kulak. He's just a different for him. Spec, Calvin Pickard. Do you see him, if Stuart Skinner doesn't play any, now there's no back-to-back, Pickard could play all 4, or do you think they might give Rodrigue that San Jose game on Thursday?
Yeah, I'd like to see, I'd like to see them give Rodrigue a game. He's played a ton of games in that building in San Jose, right? The Barracudas used to play in there all the time. San Jose's AHL team. So he's comfortable. He's been he's been a pro for a long time. What is he, 20? Is he 24, 25? Rodrigue's played a lot of pro hockey here. It's not like he's going to go in that game and, be, too nervous to play. So, and I think the other thing is, Pickard has no history here. Like, he just played a second game in a row against Calgary and played exceptionally well in that game. He has no history of playing like 5 or 6 in a row. So I'm not sure that spelling him off a game during this trip wouldn't be wise. Don't you think?
Yeah, especially like the Sharks right now, man. They are looking like the last team of the NHL. They don't have a lot. They got some young players, but they're auditioning rookie goaltenders and they're getting lit up in games. So it would definitely be an opportunity for, I think anytime you put a goalie into the NHL, you want to try at least to put him in a situation where he can have a semblance of success. And some people thought, oh, I play him against Calgary. I'm like, I'm not playing him in Calgary at home, hockey night in Canada, in a big game where the desperate Flames, no chance. But you're in San Jose. It's an 8:30 start. Like, no one's even watching on the East Coast because it's 10:30 out there. So, and the Sharks are terrible. So I think that one, you could at least give him a semblance to, have a good showing if you play him there.
Yeah, well, and I'll tell you what, like, I'd like to see, I hope we hear some good news on Stuart Skinner soon. One thing about like soft tissue injuries like Ekholm has and McDavid has, the medical staff can make a pretty decent assessment and prediction as to how long a guy's out. Sometimes they have a setback, but generally speaking, the medical staff can make a guess. Concussions are totally different. Yeah. There's no assessing and saying, okay, he'll be back in 3 games. Like, you never know. So I'm kind of waiting to hear some good news on Stu Skinner. He's skating, he's playing. I'm not saying I'm hearing bad news, but that's an injury that I don't trust. I don't trust concussions. And let's hope that there's good news on him, because an Oilers team going to the playoffs without Stu Skinner, that is something nobody bargained for.
Yeah, totally fair. Spec, have a good flight. We will talk to you from Sin City tomorrow.
All right. Sounds good, boys.
There you go. That's Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet. Also, big news I'm hearing that Sportsnet and the NHL have agreed to a pretty significant deal. We'll get to that when we return to the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertips. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on playalberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
Volvo Cars Edmonton invites you to their biggest sale of the year. The March showroom event is on now. Lease or finance a 2025 XC60 plug-in hybrid from 1.99% and save $3,500. Lease a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $5,500. Lease or finance a 2024 XC40 plug-in hybrid from 0.49% and save $2,500. Don't miss the March showroom event at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better service. Only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for a restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations in Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
Blue Jays baseball is back
on Sports 1440.
This Saturday and Sunday. Listen live to the broadcast of Canada's favorite team. Proud to be the home of Blue Jays baseball. We are Sports 1440.
Explore Internet just got 10 times faster. 5G Ultra brings incredible speeds to homes in rural and small town Canada. Upgrade today at xplore.ca.
At Fountain Tire, our focus is taking care of your vehicle. Your focus? Saving up to 25% off select tires. Plus, getting up to a $120 mail-in rebate on a set of 4 select tires until April 26th. So we both win. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
Portions of this hour brought to you by RV Wars. Due to the blizzard last weekend, RV Wars is back on again. Starting Thursday, get pre-tariff pricing on all RV from 3 dealers, all competing for your business indoors. Visit rvwars.ca for details.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
429. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope you're having a lovely day. We're going to get to the oil report brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton, where stop in, of course. They got the big showroom event going on right now. Unbelievable deals on XC90s, XC60s, XC40s. You can lease from 1.4 to 1.9% at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. And Oiler fans, here to report that for where you watch your games, nothing's going to change. Sounds like a 12-year Canadian deal is close, if not official, and it's worth like something ridiculous, like $11 billion. So Sportico had it out and had some people from Sportsnet confirm. Now, they didn't confirm the actual numbers, but that's the number being reported. So your regional games will remain the same, and you'll have, I'm assuming, Jack and Louie and Mean Gene will be there. And I think for Oiler fans, that's an exciting thing. I've always wondered if, the NHL would ever look at, you look at the NFL and they have multiple, like they have TV partner with Fox, and then they have a TV partner with CBS, and they have it, with all of them. Do you think it's better? I personally think it would be, because it gives you different options, right? Like when you watch the NFL, Cons, and I know you watch it lots, you might watch, one pregame show and one halftime show because of who the analysts are that are on there. It's a little bit different. And if you had, TSN and Sportsnet even having national games, you might get a little bit more options. Not necessarily from the play-by-play voices like not Jack and Louie, but I'm talking like the intermission and the pre and the post. You think that'd be better?
Yeah, I mean, it would certainly give the consumer of hockey just a few more options, right? You mentioned it, the NFL. And I guess different because all games start at a certain time. So you can do the pregame show every morning and, have Fox, CBS, ESPN, NFL Network. But yeah, I mean, I think to give, hockey fans out there different perspective and different, personalities to watch, never a bad thing.
No, not at all. Brandon, what about you?
Yeah, I love it. I love having the option to tune in, and listen to different guys and the way they call and just their overall insight. Some guys you just, you like their voice, or you like their approach or their insight to the game. So I think anytime you can kind of, especially in today's game where there's so many former guys and so many different types of personalities now that they're starting to bring into the game to make it more entertaining, not just the game, but, the, in between periods or halftime. I think that's the key. And I think that's what, all these, different TV producers are trying to do, is not only keep you invested in the game, but also keep you involved, in between periods with the different types of guests that they've now, brought on board.
Yeah. And so because sometimes if you always have the same people talking, like it's hard, right? Like you want to come up with something different. When I watch the NFL, that's the one thing that I notice. So I'm curious kind of what viewers would think. 833-401-1440. Also some news on the Oilers. They head out, of course. They got 9 games in April. They'll start here with their final kind of extended road trip. They got 4 on the road. They only have 3 home games in the month of April, regular season anyway. They got the 6 road games. They play Vegas and LA on this trip, as well as San Jose and Anaheim. So a mixture of really good and really bad teams to be had. I do think that we'll probably see Olivier Rodrigue Thursday in San Jose. I think that makes a lot of sense. Pickard's obviously going to play Vegas. He's obviously going to play against LA. Kane's on the trip, but he obviously can't play, but he's skating. Trent Frederick, that's probably the best news. You're seeing some progress for him. Connor McDavid, my understanding, also going to be going on the trip. Not sure if he's going to play, but my understanding is he has a groin injury. And, with those Brownie, especially when it's a thoroughbred like McDavid, they're not going to rush anybody back, but you'd be ultra cautious on that one. Other than that, Ekholm, he just, it's kind of wear and tear. He was sick there for a long time. Then he got injured coming back from 4 Nations. He played, then he would sit out, then he played again. So I think they finally just said to shut him down. It was interesting that Knobloch said this is like Kane's injury wasn't going to get better last year in the playoffs. They knew it was never going to improve. He said Ekholm is one that I fully expect that it'll improve just with some downtime, and he'll be ready to go for the playoffs.
Yeah, the tough one, I guess, if you're saying that, McDavid's, got the groin injury. That's always a tough one. I haven't had groin injuries, but been around enough guys and enough dressing rooms to, to kind of see different guys going through that. And it's a tough one because you can feel really good. And then for whatever reason, you go on the ice and it can flare up, and it can be a very nagging ongoing injury. So I'm sure they're going to take that, his injury and him being him. And the fact that, he doesn't need a lot of games, like Speck was saying, where a guy like Kane, who sat out a whole season, Frederick, new team, new situation, those guys are going to want to try and get in as many games as they can. And I'm assuming, being on the road, not only that it's Vegas. I mean, who's not taking the opportunity to go to Vegas? I wonder if it was actually Winnipeg, how many guys would actually want to go to Winnipeg? But if it's Vegas, I'm going to Vegas all day long. But you want to start to get these guys around the team, the atmosphere, because it's one thing playing, but you got to kind of get used to the routine or start to develop your routine, especially for a guy like Kane that's been out for as long as he's been out, being in a hotel, getting up for morning skate and all the meals and just, the video and the coaches meeting. I think all that stuff's really important just for the mental side of the game for these guys to start to get around that environment.
A lot of text flying in on this, 833-401-1440. Hey, guys, any idea on where Knobloch is leaning towards who he's going to play Frederick with? Honestly, Frank, I haven't asked him that question. He probably wouldn't answer it beforehand just because he doesn't, I don't think he's going to talk about it until we see it. We'll know when Frederick starts practicing with the team a little bit, probably not the first few days because he'll be on the extra line, but I still think, to me, the most obvious place is with Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah, sorry.
Like it has to be, doesn't it, Brownie? Like you look at, like I like Podkolzin as a player, but he's not a big-time point producer. Hasn't been all year long. And, Trent Frederick's a good forechecker, so he's good defensively, kills penalties, so he does all those same things, but he has a little bit better polish and finish around. So I'd probably want to try him there. And the other thing is, I would like to leave Nugent Hopkins as a center iceman, so I'm going to need another left winger anyway.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he comes in because, the one thing that Podkolzin has going for him is Draisaitl loves playing for him, right? And he loves the fact that he's aggressive, he keeps pucks alive, gets in on the forecheck and gives him the puck. And not that Frederick, obviously that's going to be a part of his game, but he's going to, it's going to be different coming into a different organization, different team, different expectations, and just getting used and trying to develop a little bit of chemistry. So, does he get on that top line right away? Does that put him in the best situation to succeed? Or do you let him, play, with a Ryan Nugent Hopkins on the third line, maybe with a veteran player like Perry and, kind of let him create some energy, get his feet underneath him, get his timing, and slowly kind of move him up? Or do you start him at the top? What happens if, you stumble a little bit, which could happen. Now you're moving him down. I don't know. I could see maybe putting him on the third line, letting him, get his game, let him get his feet underneath him, let him get comfortable and work his way up.
Yeah, like I don't know. Do you think he hasn't been out that long? Like, does Frederick really have to work his way up? And like, I don't know. Do you think he has to? Like, he's only been out 7 weeks?
Yeah, well, that's a period of time, and it's not going to be easy coming into a new organization with new guys, and that's and at this time of the season, it's different when you're coming in right as guys are really trying to find their game and fine tune it and revving up for the playoffs. I still think there's going to be I think there'll be a challenge for sure. I think he's, even just mentally, right, coming in and with a new team and he's going to want to, get some traction and get, comfortable and get some confidence. And I think it would, for me, I guess I wouldn't look at it as a bad thing to see him on the third line and to get his mojo and to, I guess it would all depend on how many games are left too. But, I think it's always easier to work your way up than all of a sudden get in a situation if you're on the top two lines. And if it doesn't, for some reason, work out, now you're getting put down. How does he look at it? Do you start to affect his confidence or the mental side of the game?
Yeah, who knows? I think Frederick's going to be fired up, right? He comes into a new team. He's yet to play. He sees everything that's going on around him. He probably's like, hey, man, we got a really good team here. And I think Tread Frederick will be fine. Now, it is a high ankle sprain, and that's always a challenge. Sometimes, though, in high ankle sprains, you feel better in your skate than you do walking around, which is odd but true. Just a different angle you skate at, plus the extra support that the boot has. So I look at Podkolzin, and if Podkolzin's down the lineup for me, I have no problem with it. If he's on my third or fourth line, he's a penalty killer, plays hard, it's great. I think if you want to win in the playoffs, you're going to need somebody with a little bit more finish there.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think Podkolzin has proven that he definitely is a guy that, it doesn't matter. He's a guy that has a place on any NHL team, just, because of the way he plays and the energy and the enthusiasm. I mean, that's what every team needs. The thing is, like, he's got to do something more than just put up points. And because one of the best players in the world loves playing with him. And, he's got to be, what a feeling that has to be for anybody that's in the NHL and has an opportunity to play with, McDavid or Draisaitl. When those guys, are endorsing you and are basically saying, hey, like, I want this guy on my line, you got to be doing cartwheels. So, that's an exciting place for him to be. I think having, I think it'll still be a little bit of a moving target, Gregor. Do you not agree with, Kane? We still don't know what Kane brings. I mean, we know that he's going to be physical. We don't know exactly where he's going to be, as far as his timing and his confidence and where he's going to fit in. I think they got some really nice pieces and some really nice options where, you're going to have 1 through 4 lines of, some difficult choices and some hard guys to play against if you're, any team that's matching up against the Oilers.
Yeah, well, yeah, again, with me for Kane, Kane's a bottom 6 guy to start, and there's nothing wrong with that because he hasn't played in 10 months. And if he overachieves, and that's even better, makes your team deeper. You throw in Kane and Frederick, and all of a sudden, like, Chris Knobloch's going to have a real deep bench, and he's going to have lots of options. And I think there's going to be some great competition to see who's going to get ice time. It should be fantastic. It's the Oil Report brought to you by Volvo Cars. Edmonton will return. We got 5 questions, and Kevin Woodley and more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Get in the game. Use the promo code Gregor50 and get a free $50 play.
Dang. Last season, you bought new clubs to fix your game. You spent the entire season trying to learn how to hit with your magic clubs. And guess what? Dang. They didn't help your game. Now you're convinced it's your swing, but it really is your clubs. Even though you were told the ones you bought were the best ever made, if they were, you would have gotten better. Every day at Fitted Golf, we continue to prove the right clubs make all the difference in the world. From beginners to pros, Fitted Golf makes all the difference. Yes, fittedgolf.ca.
The Alzheimer's Face-Off presented by Christensen Communities Limited hits the ice April 25th to 27th. Don't miss the Champions Luncheon on Friday, April 25th at the Edmonton Convention Center. Tables are on sale now. This year's event is hosted by accomplished sports journalist and author Scott Morrison and features the legendary locker room tales of Mike Keenan. Iron Mike grew from a highly respected NHL player to one of the most passionate coaches in hockey history. For more information or to purchase your Champions Luncheon table, visit alzheimersfaceoff.ca.
Explore beyond the boundaries of capability and value during Truck Month at GMC. Right now, get 0% financing for up to 72 months on the 2025 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Pro Graphite. With a TurboMax engine delivering 310 horsepower, GMC Pro safety features including automatic emergency braking, plus a max towing of up to 9,500 pounds. You'll be ready for anything this Truck Month. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
The rock you love never dies. It lives on at River Cree Resort and Casino. River Cree Resort and Casino proudly presents the Classic Rock Reunion.
I am so into you.
Featuring Pure Prairie League, Atlanta Rhythm Section, Orleans, and Firefall, the classic rock reunion. May 17th at the venue at River Cree Resort and Casino. Tickets start at just $69.99 at rivercreeresort.com.
A Tim's Donut and Coffee is the original collab. And now, any classic donut is $1 when you buy any size original or dark roast coffee. Get a deal on the iconic duo with a Tim's dollar donut, plus tax at participating restaurants for limited time. Terms apply. See app for details.
Don't settle for being on the rate of last resort if you don't have to be. Check your most recent electricity bill. If it says the words rate of last resort on it, then there are likely better options available for you. In fact, you could save hundreds of dollars per year by switching plans. Check your bill, then go to ucahelps.ca to explore your options. You will likely find a better rate and could have hundreds more in your pocket by the end of the year. A message from the Government of Alberta.
In the digital realm, our kids face threats, but we have the power to guard their innocence. Visit protectchildren.ca, a national charity teaching parents and kids how to stay safe online. Empower their curiosity, not their fears. Visit protectchildren.ca.
Farm, ranch, acreage, or lake lot. They're here to help at Bashaw Concrete Products. Family owned and operated for 60 years. They continue to provide the best products and service, period. Call now for your free quote on the highest quality ready mix and gravel, a new septic tank, or an outhouse pad and tank, plus precast cattle water pads, garage sumps, and more. Call 780-372-3854 for prompt delivery. Bashaw Concrete Products, 780-372-3854. BashawConcrete.com.
The Henry Armstrong Award is a $10,000 bursary and 12-month mentorship award for Indigenous artists in Canada, regardless of genre. The mission is simple: to develop, elevate, and support the diverse talents in the Canadian Indigenous music community. The portal is now open for the 2025 award submissions and will close on Friday, April 18th, 2025. Find out how you could be mentored by leaders in the global music industry. For details, go to henryarmstrongaward.ca. And good luck to everyone.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantork.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Gregor, Sean Brown, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Also, sports1440.ca. Some of you listening on the app, we appreciate it. Taking us anywhere. That's fantastic. As the Oilers are taking themselves to Vegas as they start a 4-game road trip. Vegas, San Jose, LA, Saturday afternoon, and then they wrap it up next Monday in Anaheim. Come back, take on the Blues. Then they got the Sharks again. Winnipeg, they finish in San Jose. They got three of their final 8 games of the season are against the Sharks and the Ducks. So pretty favorable schedule down the stretch for the Oilers. See if they can catch LA. They also play the Kings twice, and those 2 games could determine who gets home ice advantage, as those 2 teams are on a collision course to meet for the 4th consecutive time. It would be only the 2nd time in the since expansion of 68 that the same teams have met 4 consecutive years in the playoffs. The first time, the Montreal Canadiens, they beat the Bruins 4 years in a row in the first round in, I think it was 83, 84, 85, and 86. So could it happen again? Very much so. It could. Let's get to 5 questions brought to you by The Brick and their mattress store. You're having a tough time sleeping, waking up more tired, making up a sore neck? Go to the Brick Mattress Store, and their experts will help you get the sleep you deserve.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, guys, question number 1. As we sit here on Monday, what excites you the most about tomorrow's matchup between the Oilers and Vegas Golden Knights?
I just think anytime you're going against, the top teams. It's just an opportunity to see where your team is, as a whole. The Oilers coming off a big emotional Battle of Alberta win, Draisaitl coming back with some inspiration. Can they continue taking the steps they need to take to make sure that their game is where it needs to be, 5-on-5 defensively. And it's an opportunity for some of the guys, some of the role guys, to see where their game's at, before some of the guys that are a little nicked up come back. This is where you want to try and make it tough on the coach coming down the stretch here.
What excites me? Well, every time they play Vegas, I'm always wondering, are the Oilers ever going to try to get back at Pietrangelo? I know it's only been 3 years, so at some point it might happen. So I always think of that.
All right. Question number 2. So I'm going to put this in kind of like video game terms almost. If Connor McDavid in NHL was the 100-point player, he's the best player in the game, what rating would Leon Draisaitl have this season?
Well, I'm pretty certain McDavid doesn't have a 100 rating.
But hypothetically.
In PS5.
I think, they're kind of stingy.
I think they're 98s or 97s. Draisaitl, so for next year's rating, Draisaitl will have whatever the highest player in the league has. So if it's 98, he'll have a 98. If it's 97, he'll have a 97. But next year in NHL 25, I bet you Draisaitl has the highest rating possible.
So is there anyone that has a 100?
Nope.
Nobody.
Well, at least on PS5. Like I asked my son, because I don't play it, but he plays it. And nobody has 100. I think Gretzky has the highest, and I think he's a 98.
Really? Wow. I haven't played.
McDavid might be there too. I'd have to double check, but no one has 100.
Yeah. Well, I guess, if it's based off of this year, which it would be, I mean, he's got to be up there with the greats, whether it's McDavid or McKinnon. So yeah, if you're not I don't know if you're not at 100, he's 98, 99.
My research says McDavid is 97, McKinnon's 96. Then you have Pasternak, Matthews, Draisaitl, Makar, and Kucherov all coming in at 95, as well as Panarin. So just want to see what you guys thought about Draisaitl's play versus McDavid this year. Question number 3 for you right now. It looks like we have a Panthers Lightning playoff series. Is that the best in-state province/state or state or province rivalry? And if not, what else do you think is in the discussion?
Go ahead, Brownie.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great one. I mean, being from Ontario, I love, I like the Leafs, and Ottawa is another great one. Anytime the Leafs are in the playoffs against any team, it's always exciting, just because of it's just the pressure that's on the city, on the team, the pressure that's going to be on Marner and McDavid. It's been so long since they've had success, but yeah, I mean, their last playoff run was exciting. It was physical. They had a lot of guys that, kind of fit that role of, whether it was Darcy Tucker or who's that, Chris Neal, they had the perfect, not just team, but the perfect types of players where it brought out the best, and gave you a reason to really tune in and watch, because it had a nice, whether it was skill or the physicality was pretty cool to watch.
Well, the Panthers Lightning 5 years in a row, one of those two teams has made it to the Stanley Cup final, and they've won 3 of them. So it would be hard to find a better one when you just look at the core group and the success they've had. Ottawa, Toronto would be, because if you get the Lightning Panthers, that means you get Ottawa, Toronto. So that to me is a double win. And so I'm, as a guy who loves rivalries, there's 2 series I want. We're going to have Colorado and Dallas. We're going to have Edmonton and LA. So those are some of the best matchups I think you can have, to be honest. But it's hard to top the Panthers and Lightning right now. I think if the teams are ever good again, Toronto, Montreal would be electric.
Question number 4, the Oil Kings return home, tied in their series with PA at 1 apiece. How do you think the series will end?
Well, at the start, I had the Oil Kings in 6. I said that, hey, the goaltending in PA was going to be the difference, and it was. It's Hildebrand is great. So I think if the Oil Kings can they keep out shooting them, I think they're a little bit quicker overall. They probably ideally don't want to risk giving PA's power play, which is great all year long, that many power play opportunities. So and then find a way to get their own power play. But I'll say Edmonton in 6. I'll stick with it.
I'll go Edmonton in 7. The fact that they got the split, anytime you can kind of get a split and you get some guys getting, confident and a little bit of mojo and get back to Edmonton. I'm sure they're going to have with that, what is it? $1, the cheap hot dog. I'm sure they're going to get
Wiener Wednesday.
Wiener Wednesday. I'm sure they're going to get, they'll get a super crowd and everyone's going to kind of get behind them. They'll kind of rally.
Good deal. Final question for you guys. Today is National Tater Day for those who celebrate. So when it comes to the potato, in what is the finest form, in your opinion?
I'm going to go with my wife's mashed potatoes. I love them when they're just like whipped perfectly. Like they just like melt in your mouth, with a little cream cheese, little herb garlic cream cheese, and chicken broth where it's just nice, moist, perfect texture. Can't go wrong.
Wow. Chicken broth. Okay. I love mashed potatoes, man. I will take mashed potato all day long. And that's pretty straightforward. Well, if I have gravy on it, then it's even better.
What about breakfast potatoes? Crispy breakfast potatoes?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Those are good too.
We actually made homemade. We have a fry cutter now. We made homemade fries the other day. And you know what? So I just put the potato in, literally cut it up, right? Put it in the air fryer, put on salt, put on some spice, put on some pepper. Oh, and actually I soaked them in water. Well, my wife soaked them in water for about 2.5 hours because that makes them crispier.
Really?
They were quite good. Yeah, because then like there's no oil, there's no crap on them. Because I love fries, but the problem is if you go to have fries in public, it's not the fries that are the problem. It's all the oil and junk that they put on them that's the problem. So this way we can have fries and they taste great and they're just healthier because they're just literally potatoes with salt and pepper and like no oil. That's not true. Just like a tablespoon of olive oil to toss them in. That was it.
Is that like a deep fryer?
Yep.
Yeah. That's cool.
No, just the air fryer. Sorry, not deep fryer.
Or sorry, air fryer.
Yeah, just an air fryer. Yeah, super easy. Now you have to have them, at least the way we do it. We don't pile them up. So I had to do like 2 batches, right? So you just fill up the little bucket, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
In your air fryer.
Yeah.
Just all flat on the bottom. Did it, I think it was 18 minutes, flipped them at 9-minute mark.
There's nothing better than a crispy fry. French fry.
What's your favorite spud, Connor?
Man, you guys kind of nailed it. Like mashed potatoes. I didn't think you'd both go that direction. Have you guys ever had smashed potatoes?
No.
I don't really know what they are. They're just like, but they're a little crispier. And they're just kind of like, instead of getting like a big spoonful, you take them as individuals, like little pieces. They're bite-sized. They're pretty good. You can throw some like cheese on them, throw some spices as well. They're not too bad. So maybe you can take a look at those one day.
I always thought smashed potatoes were just like kids who couldn't say mashed potatoes. Mashed potatoes.
It would make sense. I also like potato chips as well, if we're being real.
There you can't go wrong with a good old potato. Good thick potato.
Yeah. You know what those are, Brownie.
Hey, Cons, don't get Brownie started on his innovative idea of potato chips at Halloween, okay? No one's ever thought of it till Sean Brown did it.
Hey, listen, like you wouldn't believe the amount of traffic that I get because of it.
Well, buddy, it's innovative. Like everybody's like, guys, did you hear that you can give away chips at Halloween? What? Yeah, Sean Brown started it.
It's the size of the bag. It's the bag of. It's the size of the bag.
Are you giving out full size?
Full bag chips, chocolate bars, you name it.
Oh,
gumballs.
Gumballs.
Yes, big big gum. Yeah, it's we're the spot.
A Hubba Bubba.
No, it's kind of like in the package where it's the different colors, right? The ones that come out, they're full of flavor and about
like Bazooka Joe.
No, I don't know. They're kind of rainbow. Would they be rainbow in a package?
Yeah, but
you probably get them from like Costco or something like that.
And it's gum.
Yeah, gum balls.
Oh, gum balls. And so they come in like 5 gum balls in one pack.
Yeah, all the different colors.
Like
there.
double bubble.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
It's honestly like it's a hit. Kids, it's actually the last kid that comes that actually wins everything. The last kid that comes to our house.
But how do you know they're the last one?
Because I decide. I decide when I'm going to shut the lights off. So.
Okay, so you're the last. Yeah. Here you go, buddy. And this kid's parents just like cursing at you as they wheel out of there with 40 chocolate bars.
Oh, I just open up the bag and it's gone. There you go. It's all yours. We have for the last 2 years we have the same kids that come back.
Well, yeah. Why when they're coming late? Hey, you know what? If we go to the Brown House late, we're going to get just a massive push. So yeah, I get it. Makes sense. Brownie, have yourself a good week. When we talk to you next Monday, the Oilers have 3 games: LA, Vegas, and the Sharks. I think we all agree they're going to beat the Sharks. But what do you think happens to those 2 games? And do you think any of the injured guys are going to be playing before next Monday?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think that they're just coming on the road, like I said, to kind of get, acclimatized with kind of the atmosphere and the game day rituals and preparation, just to be in that environment. So, I think they're going to split it. I would say. I think they're going to win one, but they're going to be competitive games, good games. So yeah, be fun to watch.
Awesome. Brownie, have yourself a good one. Enjoy your gumballs.
Get better, Gregor.
Yeah, I'll try. It's Sean Brown joins us every Monday. When we come back, Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine, NHL.com, will join us as we get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Fountain Tire. Road trips, job sites, or daily commutes, no matter where you drive, you need a team that keeps you rolling. And Fountain Tire does more than just tires. Their expert technicians handle everything from alignments to brakes, shocks, and full mechanical services. Find your nearest store at fountaintire.com.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
The Edmonton Oilers have signed college free agent defenseman Damian Carpagna to a 2-year contract. Entry level starting next season. The 22-year-old has 7 goals and 21 assists with the Ohio State Buckeyes this past season. On the ice tonight, 2 games getting going shortly. Devils in Wild and the Preds in Philadelphia at 6:30. The Avs host the Flames, and at 8 o'clock tonight, the Stars taking on the Kraken. In the association, you got the Jazz meeting the Hornets, Pacers host the Kings, Magic up against the Clippers, Wizards host the Heat, the Celtics head to Memphis, OKC hosting the Chicago Bulls, the Mavs up against the Nets, and the Rockets in LA to take on the Lakers. Major League Baseball, the Blue Jays in action today, kicking off a weekend set hosting the Nationals. First pitch at 5:07. They'll send Bowden Francis to the mound. The Nationals countering with Calgary's Michael Soroka. Right now, Reds up on the Rangers 3-0 in the top of the second. You also have the Mets trailing the Marlins 1-0 in the second as well. Later today, Cards take on the Angels, Giants in Houston, Padres host the Guardians, Tigers up against the Mariners, and it's the Dodgers hosting the Braves. Earlier on, Royals knocked off the Brewers 11-1. White Sox playing the Twins 9-0. Red Sox halted the Orioles 8-5, and it was the Phillies victorious over the Rockies 6-1. March Madness rolls on the women's side. You got number 1 Texas taking on number 2 Texas Christian. That gets going shortly. Then at 7 o'clock, UConn meets USC. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine, and Bill Benner of the Sporting News will drop by to talk some NFL and March Madness. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertip. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on playalberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for a restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations in Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, and Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
This is going to make you hungry. Booster Juice just dropped new guacamole and black bean grilled fresh options.
What the guac?
Yeah.
You know,
guacamole
even though it's the
black
best
bean
of
wrap,
7,
guacamole chicken
is to have
panini, and an
glazed
egg and
cap-
chipotle black
Check
bean
'em.
wrap.
What a treat! Holy guacamole!
Bye-bye, boring as bread sandwiches.
Guac, yeah! New flavors, new cravings.
Avocado up to wraps and paninis from Booster Juice. Canadian-born blending since 1999. Download the Booster Rewards app and order one today.
When you live in northern Alberta, you need a vehicle that is built for this climate. That's the all-new 2025 Jeep Compass, and you'll find it at St. Albert Dodge. Now, what can I say? It's a Jeep. It's a 4x4, so it's totally at home driving on snow and ice. And it's got some great standard features like an 8.4-inch touchscreen, keyless entry, and heated front seats. As I said, northern Alberta. and all starting from just $34.9. Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Center. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Center's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit EdmontonExpoCenter.com today.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Sherbrooke Liquor. Sherbrooke is a house of curiosities, a mom and pop, a curated experience that is equal parts wine tastings and 2 4s for May long. See more at SherbrookeLiquor.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Welcome back. Monday afternoon, the Jason Gregor Show, Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. As always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the province at PlayAlberta.ca. Of course, Oilers currently in the air right now on their way to Vegas. Well, they will take on the red-hot Vegas Golden Knights, who have won 6 in a row and are playing quite well. Now, let's get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by the Spruce Grove Saints. And the Saints just want to have a big thank you to all of their fans and sponsors who supported them this season, the inaugural season. The BCHL had a great year, learned a lot. They look forward to welcoming you back to their brand new facility next season, and lots of new exciting things to come. Thanks for the support from the Spruce Grove Saints. As we welcome in from In Goal Magazine and NHL.com, Kevin Woodley joins us now. Woodley, how you doing, my man?
I'm good. I just got back from your fine province. Was in Calgary for the weekend for my daughter's had a, I think they call it Best of the West volleyball tournament. And
all right,
I could have lived without the snow, but it just made me enjoy the 14 degrees and sunny I returned to that much more.
No, I could tell. I was in Calgary for a funeral that day. That was nothing compared to the snow we had in Edmonton. So you kind of got off lucky. There wasn't that much snow there compared to what we had here.
I saw it on the news. So yeah, I know.
It was a lot. Now let's Oiler fans, Calvin Pickard. I'm assuming he's going to start at least 3 or 4 on this road trip. Maybe he'd start all 4. I don't know. Maybe they want to give Olivier Rodrigue his first NHL start against San Jose. If there was ever a team to play, it might be the Sharks. But let's talk about Pickard. And you've talked a lot about, his numbers and the good environment that the Oilers have had in front of him this year. But when you break down, what are his strengths as a goalie?
Well, it's funny because, I kind of left on that note talking about the adjusted save percentage and the environment last week. And I know that can lead to a lot of people wondering why. I do think one of the reasons he has one of the higher expected save percentages in the league is because his teammates play hard for him. I believe that the value he brings in terms of being a good teammate, doing the extra work, those are real things in the NHL out of a backup goaltender. And he plays the role really well. His game, though, you're right, is very different. I think you saw that. I watched the Calgary game in full. The pad stack is the one that stands out, but there's a battle level to his game. There's also a lot more flow to his game, a lot more sort of initial aggression positioning wise, and then a little retreat. So inevitably when you play that way, you're going to be a little more up and down. You're going to be a little more reliant on rhythm, which actually makes it really hard to be a guy who doesn't play all the time. It's not typically the recipe for a backup goaltender. And I think, and we'll see what happens here, but my hunch is as he starts to get consecutive starts under his belt, that timing and that rhythm and the little bit more reliance on it compared to a Stuart Skinner, you'll see it reflected in improved play. I think he's a guy that as much as he can give you a start every 2 weeks, might be better if you need him for 2 straight. And so again, let's see if those two things come together on this road trip. But that style of play, that style of goaltending, it tends to be a little more reliant on that rhythm and that timing and all the things that you get when you play more. And so you might see the best out of him as he gets an opportunity to play more here. And that would be a good thing heading into the playoffs. Given the uncertainty that surrounds Skinner, I know there's talk of him coming on the road. I don't know if they've used the word concussion. I don't know if this is more of a neck and whiplash injury. Didn't look pretty, obviously, the way he went down. But hopefully he's getting treatment relative to it, because otherwise the balance, the vestibular function, the way you track pucks, like those are things that can be really tough and take some time to come back from unless you've got somebody resetting them for you.
Well, that was going to be my question. Coming off, if it's a concussion or not, they haven't come out and said it, but it's sure, like, everybody saw what happened. It got a knee to the head. Now that might be, it might be just like neck tightness, but it's all connected or one. So when a goalie's coming off a head or neck injury, Kevin, what does he need? Maybe more time than a player, just because there's so much more head movement in a goalie's game than there is forwards or defensemen.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not so much needs more time, Jason, does it get corrected? And I don't know where the Oilers stand on this scale of things. There are teams that are very progressive with this. There are teams that are still, frankly, I'm not going to name the teams, but I've talked to players on those teams that are quite behind the times when it comes to the type of treatment options that exist and getting players in front of those treatment options. We got a guy here in Vancouver who I know goalies will fly in situations like this. Will come and find, if they're off for any significant amount of time, will come and find time to get treated by him. He's, and hey, full disclosure, biased here. Him and his crew changed my life like 8-9 years ago. Migraines for a decade. I have a history that is in double digits with concussions. The last one that I had before seeing him, triggered a dark room for 3 weeks. It was not any way to live. I haven't had a migraine since seeing him. And a lot of that was realizing that a lot of it was neck and vestibular and balance and a lot of the things that got thrown off, and sort of having somebody reset that. And that over the years, I had gotten used to a new normal, and that new normal was a lower cognitive state after taking a hit like that. And then unless you reset that and reset all the balance and sort of, some of that, the way your sort of spatial awareness exists, it's a really tough way to live. And it's an even tougher way to track a puck being shot at you 100 miles an hour after filtering its way through 10 different bodies all around a zone. So hopefully they've got him that type of treatment. There's different sort of words around it. Sacrocranial is one of the things that we've heard over the years. At the end of the day, a lot of the times it's about resetting the way the head sits on the neck and the way those two things interact. And it's not something that everybody gets through the team, frankly. And so hopefully he's able to access treatment of that type that allows him to come back with all of those elements reset, so that what is already a difficult job isn't made more difficult because everything is a little out of whack. Literally, I've had treatments where it's, your head wasn't on straight. Like we throw that around as sort of a funny phrase, but the reality is you go in there thinking, I'm fine. And you come out of there realizing that everything just looks that much better because you're seeing the world on the proper plane.
Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine and NHL.com joins us. Kev, what about Olivier Rodrigue? Like, if you look at his AHL numbers, and historically, goalies who post 920 in the American League, those guys have a better chance of success in the NHL. His numbers this year weren't close to that. They're 899. But what do they have in Rodrigue, do you think? And if we saw him for a period, he looked okay in that one period. But what kind of goalie is here? He's obviously a little bit on the smaller side.
Well, listen, I have a tough time judging AHL numbers because, as you know, I need the context, and raw numbers don't give me that. I know he's had years that have been really good statistically. I think last year his numbers were up there, if I'm not mistaken. And so I don't know what the environment looks like down there. To me, I watched him in that Seattle game, and it's kind of as expected. I believe he can be a high floor guy. Funny, his game probably is better suited, at least anecdotally. Doesn't mean it pans out this way, but anecdotally, for the backup role, because it's so structured, because he's so technically sound, really good at sort of just getting himself behind the puck. He just doesn't have the 6'4" frame of a Stuart Skinner to take up more net when he does. And so when plays, I've talked to some people that watched him in the American Hockey League outside the Oilers organization to see what their pre-scout would look like. And when things get a little dynamic east-west and around the zone, they say he can get behind plays at times. But they believe he reads the game pretty well. It's just sort of a pace thing. And so if he gets comfortable at the NHL with the reads, I liked it. It was a tiny sample against Seattle, but I went back and watched it. And I really liked what I saw there. Just again, really technically solid in position, doesn't overplay much. Rarely, from what I saw, takes himself outside of the blue ice, which I think can be a real positive in the east-west nature of today's game. And so in theory, that should give you a pretty solid base. Like I said, a pretty high floor. There are people who wonder what the ceiling might be, but I wouldn't mind, you mentioned San Jose in one start. I guess depending on how important that home ice advantage is, that factors into who you choose here. But I wouldn't mind seeing him, if that goes well, for a second start on this trip if Skinner's not back, because I'm kind of curious to see what they got here. And I would imagine at some point they sort of need to know that themselves.
Yeah, no, that's probably valid. Now let's look at some of the upcoming goalies for the Oilers. Adin Hill, Vegas. I think Vegas is the least talked about team in the NHL. No one's really talked about them all year long. They've been sitting in first place for basically the whole season in the Pacific Division. Jack Eichel's having himself a great year, but Adin Hill, who, made Team Canada but didn't play at the Four Nations, ever since he signed his contract, he's like the opposite of Elias Pettersson. He's killing.
Yeah, he's been really good. And, since the Four Nations, if you sort of break it down amongst the goalies that say, more than 100 shots, more than 100 chances, he's sixth in the NHL with an adjusted save percentage of plus 1.8. Now, the environment's been pretty good. To your point, they're playing really good hockey, but those are closer to the numbers that we saw him post when they won a Stanley Cup, and a lot better than what we saw earlier this season. He's stabilized as the year has gone on, and even more so, as you said, around the contract time and coming out of the Four Nations. He's been really good. He's been the Adin Hill that they're sort of counting on heading into the playoffs. The guy who's, again, strengths and weaknesses really seem to fit what that team does and does not give up. Yeah, they still give up high danger chances, but they're the ones that he excels at, as opposed to giving up the types of chances. And we've talked a lot about this in Edmonton with Skinner and Rush and odd man rushes. Those happen. Where they give up those passes in Vegas is really crucial. And they don't give them up high in the zone into the middle of the ice. Everything is down tight, where Aiden's sort of more reserved positional play and his reach and his size allows him to eat up a lot of that. And the lack of exposure through the middle of the ice higher in the zone leaves, teams unable. Like, those are the chances where you can maybe expose the hands a little bit. And Vegas is taking them away, and he's taking care of everything else. And once again, it looks like it's a really nice fit. And to your point, a fit that not a lot of people, like a team and a fit and a goalie, that not a lot of people are maybe talking about heading into the playoffs, but one that when all is said and done could be one of the last ones standing.
Yeah, no, they look very good. You look at, San Jose, I'm not even sure, like, they started a rookie goalie last night in LA, and he got crushed. The LA Kings and Darcy Kemper. Now, Kemper's had other seasons, Colorado, other places where he had a 920. How much of Kemper's numbers are him? How much of it is LA, or is it just a combination of a fit that works well for both?
It might be a little bit of both. Certainly, obviously he's had a really big bounce back from last season. And part of that is definitely health. We talked about that going into this year, about how important health would be for Darcy Kemper. And that, I'd heard a lot of what happened last year was related to health. But there's been another element here that's really worked well for him in Los Angeles. Like, if you watch him play, the technical side is still there, but he looks like he's more relaxed. And, I think I credit Mike Buckley, the goalie coach there. I credit Darcy and the comfort level he has in LA. They've got him playing a less rigid game. He got a little, and I don't want to say too technical because that's just an easy stereotype, but he got a little rigid in his play in Washington. And you combine that with the injuries, and we saw him sort of, frankly, just fall off a cliff. His numbers in that Washington system. Right now, his expected save percentage is .890. The league average is .892, Jason. So it's not like he's playing in the best defensive environment in the league. The Kings haven't been quite as stingy as they have in past years. His adjusted save percentage, plus 1.8 for the season. The only guy better than him at this point in a much smaller sample is Casey DeSmith. And that may be a surprise to people, but not anyone who watched him in Calgary the other night. But Casey DeSmith with the Dallas Stars has been sensational. Darcy Kemper right now, as Logan Thompson has come back to earth, his numbers are better than Thompson, better than Gustafsson, better than Connor Hellebuyck, better than Igor Shesterkin on a per-shot basis. Hasn't played as much. I'm not trying to say he should win a Vezina trophy. He's like 400 shots fewer than Hellebuyck, almost 500 fewer than Shesterkin, chances, I should say, not shots. So I'm not trying to, make this case that he should win the Vezina trophy, but he's certainly making a case for himself, despite the reputation LA has as a defensive team, for being in the conversation as a finalist. And it would be well-deserved. And, once again, the Kings, a hell of a bounce back for their goaltending.
And what about the Blues? How much of their heater is Binnington? How much of it is team play? How much of it is just opposition?
Well, we saw on the weekend, I don't know how much you had a chance to. I ended up watching it mostly in highlights and then going back through clips of the goalies themselves. That was a really great game between Mackenzie Blackwood in Colorado and Jordan Binnington. Had some sensational saves for the St. Louis Blues in a really tight win over the Colorado Avalanche to keep their win streak up at 9. But the truth is, since the Four Nations, this has been largely team driven. And if anything, Joel Hofer in that sample has been a little bit the better goalie statistically than Jordan Binnington. And that's allowed them to sort of rest him. Now, Binnington's performance the other night hopped him back into positive territory in terms of relative to environment, but still well behind where Hofer is. That game the other night in such a small sample was enough to really propel him. Before that, he was actually below expected, Jason. This is very much a team thing, but we saw what Jordan Binnington is capable of at the Four Nations. And again, in a big moment, high-pressure game against one of the best teams in the NHL in Colorado on the weekend, he delivered that same type of performance. To me, what the Blues are doing really well, even as his has been a little up and down, is they are making sure that they are not overplaying him in this race so that when they need him, he still has enough gas in the tank to deliver games like he did against Colorado.
And do you think Hellebuyck has a heart case? Like when you brought up that he's got him and Vasilevsky, the two best environments in front of him, does that actually hurt his heart case?
The funny thing is, I think it might actually strengthen his heart case. And this is, you have to bear with me here. It's a little abstract. Because I could make an argument that other guy, like he's going to win the Vezina trophy. Now I could make an argument based on the adjusted numbers that there are other people that, if nothing else, should very much be closer than they are in that race. But when you lead all the raw numbers, I think he's got a chance at Berger's record of 48 wins if they keep playing him. I don't think they'll play him all the rest of the games, but he's got that shot. When's the last goalie? How many times has a goalie led in goals against average, wins, save percentage, and shutouts? He's setting records. He's going to win the Vezina. The fact that he doesn't lead the league in goals saved above expected or adjusted save percentage might suggest that, okay, that diminishes his Hart trophy. And certainly his numbers aren't off the charts like Shesterkin's were the last time he was in the Hart discussion.
Right.
But I think there's an argument to be made that Connor Hellebuyck and the trust that team has in how he plays, and that they know if they take care of their business the way the system is structured, he's going to take care of everything else. There's a reason that they have such a good defensive environment and that he has this really high expected save percentage. And I think a big part of it is because of him. And I know that sounds weird. So rather than punish him for it, recognize the role he plays in it. And it's the belief in him that allows them to play so hard and play so structured, because they know as long as they do that, they're going to get that level of goaltending, if that makes sense. I think a big part of what they do in front of him is because of him. I think he drives a lot of that. And I had a chance to watch him in practice recently, and the way he goes back and forth with Eric Comrie, and the way he goes back and forth with the shooters, and the way they challenge each other in practice, the high elite shooters, the way he participates as a number one in wide open, pure scoring drills to try and figure these guys out, but then also challenge them. Again, I think rather than sort of look at his environment and say, well, this is why he's so good, I think him being so good is part of why the environment is so favorable.
Okay. And lastly, who is the NHL leader in adjusted save percentage right now?
Well, I mentioned his name earlier, and this will probably surprise some people, but Casey DeSmith has been really good. And the numbers I look at, as we talk about all the time, ClearSight Analytics, Stephen Valaquette's company. I heard Stephen on the air elsewhere last week sort of making an argument that they might need to consider, if not starting DeSmith in the playoffs ahead of Jake Ottinger, which would shock people, including him in that run. Jake Ottinger has played a lot more minutes, probably got a lot harder starts, but DeSmith's also he's got the back-to-backs. He's got the tougher environment. He's that game in Calgary. Again, I was in Calgary. I watched that one, and man, he was lights out good. Stole the game for Dallas, and he's had a lot of performances like that. And he might be the best if he's the best bargain in the NHL, because not only does he lead in adjusted save percentage, but he's doing it on a contract that's going to pay him $1 million, not just this season, but for the next 2 after it. Great get by the Dallas Stars. I don't know, and we saw it here in Vancouver where he played this well as the backup, and then when Demko got hurt and he needed to go in and be the guy, they kind of fell off. The numbers fell off. So he might be the guy who is better suited to give you excellence every 10 days rather than 10 straight days of excellence. And maybe that's just the way things go. So the idea of starting him in the playoffs ahead of Ottinger, maybe that's just absurd. But mixing him in if you see struggles, mixing him in if you feel like you need to rest Ottinger, I don't think it's a coincidence either. Not just him, but since the Four Nations break, when I look at sort of the league leaders in adjusted save percentage amongst guys who are playing, Casey DeSmith, not only is he good on the season as a whole, but he's on an absolute tear, since the Four Nations, like plus 5%. Philip Grubauer, who was in the American Hockey League, is suddenly plus 4.8%. Scott Wedgwood, we talked about the heater he was on with the Avs. Freddie Anderson has been just as good for Carolina. Anton Forsberg in a tiny sample of starts, plus 2.7. Thatcher Demko coming off injury at plus 2.5. Those guys are all in the top 10 in adjusted save percentage since the Four Nations. What do they all have in common? They haven't played a lot this year. I think we're seeing some guys who have played a lot wear down a little bit. And so again, if that wear and tear continues into the playoffs, why wouldn't you give a shot to somebody who's more rested and has proven over the past couple of months that they're capable of playing at an elite level in small samples?
Well, maybe the injury to Skinner might be a blessing. Gives him a little bit of rest. So we'll see how that goes. Woodley, as always, buddy, great stuff, man. Fascinating. We always love to have you on. Have yourself a great week as we inch closer to the playoffs.
Yeah, looking forward to it these next couple of weeks. Don't have any playoffs, I don't think, to cover here in Vancouver this year, but it just means I get to keep a closer eye on yours there in Edmonton.
All right. Yeah, well, that'll be great. Yeah, no, I don't. The Canucks and the Flames, the Blues have kicked them out of the playoffs. I know it's not official, but it's official. They're done.
Yeah, I think the Canucks have done a pretty good job of kicking themselves out of the playoffs too.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It's Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine and NHL.com. We'll take a quick break. We got lots and lots of texts coming in. 833-401-1440. Is there maybe a silver lining? Skinner getting a little rest? Could that be a good thing? 833-401-1440. Get your text and more on the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
There's an old saying that goes, many hands make light work. We believe that at GS Construction. So what does it mean? It means a task is easier to complete when many people work together. It also means that GS Construction is preparing for the start of the 2025 season and is hiring. Currently, we're on the lookout for top men and pipe layers. So if you're one of those skilled pros who know how to do your job safely and efficiently, we're interested. Come join a team that's as solid as the infrastructure we build and maintain. Visit gsconstruction.ca today.
Truck Month is on now at GMC, and it's one of the best times to get behind the wheel. Right now, get a $5,000 cash purchase credit on 2025 Sierra HD models with a 13.4-inch diagonal center touchscreen, an available Duramax 6.6-liter turbo diesel V8 engine with 470 horsepower, plus the most trailering assistance technologies in its class. Sierra has some serious hauling power and is the only off-road ready HD. Truck Month is on now. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Explore Internet just got 10 times faster. 5G Ultra brings incredible speeds to homes in rural and small town Canada. Upgrade today at xplore.ca.
It's Canadian Tire's Big Spring Tire Sale. Save up to 30% on quality brands like Michelin, Continental, and Motomaster until May 7th. Conditions apply. Details online.
At Cross Mitsubishi, you can rest easy. You're getting a great deal this month. So hurry in now. Lease the 2024 Mitsubishi Mirage for as low as $15,848. That's $5,000 off. Finance for 36 months with 0% available. You'll also enjoy an available $500 trade rebate, plus an available $500 loyalty rebate. Don't forget a 10-year, 160,000-kilometer warranty. See Cross Mitsubishi in store for details. 9605 34th Ave and at crossmitsubishi.ca.
Vision Credit Union. We've been around a long time. In fact, we've been serving rural Alberta communities for 75 years. We launched in 1950 with $128, 21 members, and a mission to help our communities. It's still our mission today. That's why we return 75% of Vision's profits to members, offer full-service banking in underserved rural communities, and prioritize contributing to charitable causes in our hometowns. We're here for good. VisionCU.ca.
No matter where your potential customers live, no matter what they watch, read, or listen to, you need a marketing plan that connects with them. Let the marketing experts at Stingray Media Solutions create a turnkey advertising strategy for your business, including radio and TV and out-of-home advertising, social and search ads, plus the creative and production. Find out the most cost-effective ways to reach your target audience and grow your business. Get started now at stingraymediasolutions.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Action Electrical. They're the most diversified electrical contractor in Alberta with 4 divisions in projects, service tag, and solar for commercial or residential. Contact them today at actionelectrical.net.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
5:30. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hey, guys, best breakdown analysis across any sport. Always glued to my radio when Woodley's on, talking goaltenders from Playbook. Vic, hey, man, we've had Kevin on for many years, and you learn a lot about the intricacies of the position. And I think the whole point, I believe, of our show is to try to educate. You know, we can have random stuff and whatever, but when we can have people where they understand something, you watch something, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's what the goalie, why he's making that read at that position on the ice. It makes the game, for me anyway, much more enjoyable to watch and kind of see how guys go. And then even when he talks about what certain weaknesses are, like I think it's obvious. You even saw it at the Four Nations. Every goalie has a little bit of weakness. You want to get in Hellebuck's eyes, and you like to go glove hand. Even the best goalie in the world has a little weakness. Best quarterback in the NFL has a weakness. Everybody does, and you try to break it down. Let's continue to talk some big news in basketball and football as Bill Bender joins us once again from the Sporting News. Their senior writer, covers NFL and March Madness. Bill, how you doing, my man?
Hey, I'm the dad of a lacrosse goalie, so I'm going to have to check out that segment too. So I tell people, when you're a goalie parent, it's a different world, you know, because the pressure on them and we try not to feel it, but you know, hockey, whether it's hockey, lacrosse, soccer, whatever, takes a special kid and a special player to do that position.
Oh my God, I couldn't imagine, because you're in the crowd and a lot of people don't know the position, so they think like every goal that goes in is a bad goal.
Well, it's always on the goalie, right? Even though, like, as you learn that, you know, maybe it's a defensive breakdown, maybe it's a late rotation. I'm sure I'm really fascinated. I'm going to listen to that segment then, go back and listen to it, because I do like hearing goalies from different sports. But I don't want to get too sidetracked on that. I know you got me talking basketball. Oh, no. I don't think that. Do they have goalies in basketball? I guess Duke has a couple under the hoop.
Yeah. No, well, you look at it. Hey, I did lacrosse play-by-play for 10 years for the Rush when they were in town, and learned a lot about the game. And you know, actually, my color analyst, the late Johnny Maurice, was a former goalie, so I learned a lot about that position. And lacrosse goaltenders, man, it's a different breed, because that ball, I don't care if people think a puck hurts. That ball and the movement on a lacrosse ball compared to a puck, and the release points and everything, it's a tough position to play. Good for your son to want to do it. My God, that'd be a hard position in sports. Now, going to Duke, and this is only the second time, first since 2008, all number ones made it. And before the tournament started, a lot of people thought there wouldn't be as many upsets. That doesn't always pan out, but that's kind of how this one's panned out. Some people say, oh, it's not as good. I would argue if the good teams keep playing the good teams and winning, then it is a good tournament. Where do you come out?
We don't need number ones every year, but I remember that tournament with all the ones. And we ended up getting Kansas and Memphis in the national championship game and got a buzzer beater to send it into overtime in one of the more memorable championship games of my lifetime. So if we get that, it'll be worth it. I mean, you're getting Houston and a top-ranked defense against Duke in the NBA lottery. You're getting a SEC matchup between Florida and Auburn, and they've been the two best teams in the best conference all year. So, I don't need it every single year because then we'd get desensitized to it. But we got 4 of the top 10 Ken Palm teams of all time, as Matt Norlander pointed out. I'll sign up for that next weekend.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Why not? Now, of the 4, which 2 do you like to move on?
Well, I like Duke, and that's such a cop-out answer because I think Flag's amazing. Malowak's amazing. They've just got that. They're huge, by the way, too. Houston's starting lineup 6'9" across the board. Now, the thing to watch in this game, and Houston played them tough last year, and watching that Houston play yesterday, they make you so uncomfortable with their man defense, running you off the three-point line. I think they make teams take panic shots. So, does Cooper Flag keep Duke not just engaged, but, centered offensively, that they don't panic? That other game's a toss-up. I picked Auburn. I like where they're at with Janai Broome. Both teams are very even. I know Florida beat them in the regular season, but that was in February. This will be a toss-up game. I think that one will go down to the last possession.
Yeah, I have Florida going in, but I don't necessarily feel that confident about it as all. I think, they're both going to be great. Now, Bill, a lot of people think that because of, the portal and so much player movement now, that the bigger schools who have more to spend, it's kind of like there's no salary cap, but there's lots of money to go around, and we're going to see maybe more of this moving forward. Do you agree that maybe we're going to have a separation of the top dogs?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think we're closing in on that point, if not already there. Yeah, part of it is the portal. Part of it is NIL. Part of it is, there's no regulation yet. I think I talked to Hunter Dickinson, the Kansas Center, a couple of weeks ago, and he had a good point. He thinks that college athletes should sign 2-year contracts. I'm on board with that. And I think you should get one transfer instead of, if you transfer a second time, you got to sit out a year. Yes. Right? When we've got players that are 23 and 24 and on their 4th school, takes a little bit of the college out of college sports, in my opinion. Not that I want them not to have opportunities, but I think it needs regulated a little bit.
Yeah. Do you think that's going to happen?
I think so at a certain point. But I don't know that it will until the ratings take a hit. And the ratings have been good for this tournament. People like good matchups. People like, the things that we haven't had. We haven't had a buzzer beater. Well, we did. We had Derek Queen in the second round, but we haven't had a ton of excitement. No. Although I would argue Florida, Texas Tech, the end of that game was pretty cool how they rallied from 9 down. But I went to a MAC school. I went to a Mid-American Conference school. I want there to be Cinderellas in the tournament. And when you don't have that one to latch onto in the second weekend, it does get a little dry.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think for what's unique about the tournament is it gets the diehards are going to watch it all the time, but it gets the kind of your B and C fans who more interested because, a little bit of a Cinderella run. And like if McNeese would have went to the Sweet 16, it's a story that everybody follows. And now they're like, well, I just want to see how they do. And not that the good teams don't deserve the same, but it's not, people love the Cinderella upset story. They just do.
They do. And, the counter to that this weekend is they also love the megastars and the freshmen. And Cooper Flag being a freshman, it reminds me of Carmelo, Anthony Davis. I can take it all the way back to the Fab Five in Michigan. And when you're fascinated with dominant freshmen, and I think Cooper Flag, it's not just he's good now; he'll be good in the NBA. I think he'll be good 10 years from now. And the other part of it is, as I wrote for us for last week at Sporting News, was He's a Duke guy that we kind of like. When's the last time we liked a Duke superstar? That rarely, if ever, happens if you're not a Duke fan.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is true, actually, right? Like, well, hey, the whole 30 for 30 on Christian Laettner can kind of tell you all you need to know about people's despise of the Duke organization. Quickly, Bill, to the NFL, and the draft's upcoming, and obviously, the NFL draft to me is unlike any other draft because you can really improve your team in one draft, and you can get good players in the first round, but you can get impact players in the third, the fourth, heck, the fifth round, and it happens every year. I'm not sure there's necessarily a standout quarterback. Maybe Ward, we'll see. But what do you make of the draft? And are there some teams that you think that are close who, if with the right draft, suddenly they could be a lot closer?
Yeah, I mean, the Bengals. What are they going to do around Joe Burrow? How much defense do they draft? What do the Bears do to build on the momentum of Caleb last year? They're going to be kind of, as you and I talked in the summer, they'll be a team that'll start being like one of those trendy picks around Caleb Williams. Green Bay, that whole division was really good. But how do we shuffle it going into next year? Green Bay could get a couple more pieces as well. You know what the most fascinating piece of this draft is Shedeur Sanders, and where does he go? Does he go to Cleveland early? Do they trade down? Does he somehow wind up in Dallas, which is the headline of all headlines for us on draft day? But I'm really fascinated to see where he goes and where the quarterback's after him, because I'm pretty sure you can assume right now that Cam Ward's going number one.
Yeah. And now if he goes to Tennessee, are they better off to just not start him?
I think so. I mean, it depends on what they have around them. There's two ways to do it. I always point to, everybody points to Green Bay as the model and sitting a guy 3 years. I don't necessarily look at it that way. I think the one that I always looked at was, remember Carson Palmer with the Bengals, and he sat behind Kitna for about a year, and even Michael Penix last year, where it's like almost the whole year, and then they come in and they look pretty good. If you can get away and have the patience to do that with Cam Ward, I think he's going to do okay in Tennessee. But if they're not, we don't have to start rookie quarterbacks if they're not ready. Yes. We just don't. And I think that we've gotten away from that a little bit in the NFL.
Yeah. As Warren Moon, I thought, Ari Ackley said, he goes, I don't think there's a shortage of quarterbacks. There's a shortage of patience on how to develop quarterbacks. And you know what? They come in, they've got all this hype, and the organization's like, okay, we got to play this guy. And it's like, why? Why do you have to play him right away? Your team's not that good anyway. It's the reason you got the number 1 pick or the number 2 or the number 3, whatever the number is. So we'll see. Now, the Steelers, we saw a video of Aaron Rodgers throwing with DK Metcalf. Is this a foregone conclusion? And do you think that Mike Tomlin can limit the distraction that has become Aaron Rodgers off the field?
I think they can because of the organization. The Steelers are one of those organizations that they've had guys like that in the past, but it's not often. Like they had Antonio Brown a long time, and I would argue Antonio Brown's career really got off the rails when he left Pittsburgh. Yeah. As much as it pains me to say this, being an Ohio guy, they are a model stability franchise. And I think if Tomlin and Rodgers, being the veteran guys that they are, both know what they want to get out of this, it reminds me of that scene from Moneyball. It can work because the Steelers are that kind of organization that he's better than Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, and they have DK now. They can make that work again in a tough division.
Yeah. Well, no, I would agree. I think if you look at his numbers are actually pretty good when he played. He's not nearly as mobile as he was in his youth, and that's to be expected. And one last one, you mentioned Cincinnati and defense. What about their offensive line? If they don't get an O-line, I don't care if you got the best quarterback and 2 receiver tandem in the league. If your quarterback's running for his life too often, I don't think it's good enough.
Right, and you got to have time to throw the football. And they did. They made their stand. They invested in 2 of the best receivers in the game and their quarterback, and as a result, you're going to have some holes. So they are going to have to draft well, and they are going to have shrewd free agent signings. I don't know what they're going to do with Trey Henderson, but you're absolutely right. If it's not defense in the first early rounds of the draft, you need to get some interior offensive linemen and make sure you're protecting Joe Burrow, because the last thing you want to do is tie up all that money in a couple receivers and quarterbacks, and then you have your quarterback go down.
Bill, great stuff, man. We appreciate it. Enjoy the madness and the upcoming draft in April.
I will. I'll check in with you guys later. Thanks so much for having me on. Take care.
You betcha. There's Bill Bender from the Sporting News. And March Madness, I don't think it's a bad thing to have all the big dogs in it. Doesn't happen very often, only the second time ever. So what's the problem? And now, do you want it every year? No. I love that idea of a 2-year deal and only one transfer. That I would put in the one transfer before I'd put in the 2 years, because you don't nearly need 2 years if you only get one transfer. Right? That solves the problem. And that's what I would look at. You can't just have, I don't like it. Nah, that's not the reality. And it shouldn't be. So I would be all in favor of making that change. We'll come back, wrap things up. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Declan Cougar with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X.
This is going to make you hungry. Booster Juice just dropped new guacamole and black bean grilled fresh options.
What the what?
Yeah, a guacamole black bean wrap, guacamole chicken panini, and an egg and chipotle black bean wrap.
What a trio! Holy guacamole!
Bye-bye, boring as bread sandwiches.
Fuck yeah! New flavors, new cravings.
Avocado up to wraps and paninis from Booster Juice. Canadian-born, blending since 1999. Download the Booster Rewards app and order one today.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for a restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations in Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
Your vehicle is a big investment. Protect it at Hughes Car Wash. We use only clean, fresh water and the highest quality car wash soap. Hughes Car Wash, the car wash pros.
Find us at hughescarwash.com.
At Cross Mitsubishi, you can rest easy. You're getting a great deal this month. So hurry in now. Lease the 2024 Mitsubishi RVR for as low as $23,398. That's $6,000 off. Finance for 36 months with 0% available. You'll also enjoy an available $1,000 trade rebate, plus an available $1,000 loyalty rebate. Don't forget a 10-year, 160,000-kilometer warranty. See Cross Mitsubishi in store for details. 9605 34th Ave and at crossmitsubishi.ca.
From the first face-off to the final whistle, Sports 1440 is your home for hockey talk. With live coverage, expert analysis, and pre- and post-game shows, we bring you closer to the game. Tune in 24/7 only on Sports 1440, Edmonton's sports station.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. Watch every Oilers game at OTR with $5.25 Molson Canadian, $5 Pink Whitney shots, and 60-cent wings. Plus, play Oilers Score and Win for your chance to win On the Rocks gift cards. Oilers Hockey at OTR. Book your table today. Jasper Ave in 118th.
The Jason Gregor Show. The best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
What is the final countdown? Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Declan Cougar with you, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. We got a lot of texts flying in, 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Cons, obviously, I know you follow college football, college basketball a lot. Do you think the one transfer, is that easier to implement than a 2-year deal? Or do you think a 2-year deal would be easier just because it still allows the freedom for players to go wherever they want?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like them both, to be honest with you. I think if it's one transfer, it probably makes you make that decision just a little bit better here. I wouldn't mind it in, certain situations. If the coach you committed to is moving on, maybe you get that leeway, like they open up the window for you to transfer and you can do so, because that can play a huge role in it. Like if you're there, you're redshirted for 1 year, your head coach goes on to a better job, and then all of a sudden it's a whole new coaching staff that didn't recruit you. I wouldn't mind if those players get a little bit of leeway in that fashion. So personally, I would probably go with the you get one transfer. I think I like that one a little bit better. 2-year contract would be good too, though. Like, you wouldn't be bouncing around year to year. You'd probably find that the program, and you have to put a little more research in it and just cut it out.
Well, and even the coach leaving, I guess I get it, but I really do like only the one transfer rule. I'm not sure, if they would do it or not, but I think it would be fascinating. Hey, Gregor Woodley for goalie coach. Well, it's funny. I've talked to Kev a lot about that, and he's like, hey, he goes, I've learned a lot about the position. He doesn't feel he's close to the knowledge of a goalie coach. And I think if people heard a goalie coach talk openly in public, I think their perception of what the goalie coach does would change a lot. We had Calvin Pickard on, and he talked about, his relationship with Dustin Schwartz. And he goes, it's not like Dustin Schwartz is, working on a ton of things in season technically. It's not really how it works, right? Like you have your basis in the off season, sure. But you reach a point in your career, you kind of play a certain way. And, you might have small little tweaks here or there, but a lot of it is more, during the season, the goalie coach is, how do you communicate? What are you saying? Knowing rest time, all those different sorts of things. I think the goalie coach position gets scrutinized a lot because you don't really see what they do, right? Like you see the goalie and you just assume, well, the goalie coach should make him better. Well, that's like saying, well, your defense coach should automatically make all your defensemen better. Well, you're going to have number one defenseman, you're going to have number two defenseman, you're going to have second pair defenseman, you're going to have third pair. Not every starting goalie is going to be a superstar. Not every first line center is as good as McDavid or Draisaitl. Does that mean the coach who doesn't have one isn't doing his job because he didn't make them a better one? Like a coach, you can only do so much to, there's obviously some given talent, and there's a work ethic, and, then there's the natural flexibility, some goalies, and then their style of play, right? Like you're a goalie coach in a team, you get a guy who's 10 years into the league. Now you sign him as a free agent. Now you would hope that the organization did their due diligence. It was like, okay, this guy plays this style of game. It will match how we play. But sometimes that's not the case. And some organizations, they listen to their goalie coach, some don't. And Woodley's talked about that. When you sign certain guys, you're like, well, he's not a fit in the way that team plays. So why would you take it? 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Hey, guys, what's the chances that the Oilers will play Frederick on this road trip? I see he's traveling with him. That one comes in from Danny. Well, he's yet to skate with the team, so he's obviously not playing tomorrow. I don't think he's going to play Thursday. I think best case scenario would be Saturday. That's best case. I'm not even sure it's realistic, right? Like he's got a high ankle sprain. I think they're going to be uber cautious on it. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't play at all, to be honest. But he gets around the team, he gets in some extra skating. And a lot of it's, if you're Trent Frederick, you haven't been on the road trip with your teammates, you want to get to know these guys. There's just a comfort level there. So I think this trip is as much about Trent Frederick, the human, as it is Trent Frederick, the player. So at least that's how I view it. But I think there's a chance. Hey, Gregor, for perspective on Woodley's comments, is there an example of a goalie who would still exportable east-west? I've heard this pre-scout in virtually every goalie. Isn't the strategy in all goalies, especially at the NHL level? Most are hard to beat if you're not making them move side to side. Just seems like a stereotypical comment, like trying to take away time and space by defensemen. From Randy. Well, you obviously want to get goalies moving east to west, but even then, though, when they're moving east to west, some are going to be more susceptible up high, some are going to be more susceptible up low. And then the other thing is east to west in which fashion? Stuart Skinner moving side to side on an odd man rush is a little bit more of a weakness. But if you have a set play in zone, Stuart Skinner ranks a lot higher on those plays side to side. So there is still east to west but there's east to west in different situations on the ice, if that makes any sense. So, some goalies are better on crease play lines, even if you got to go side to side, than they are if they're coming off the rush. So tomorrow we'll go to Vegas. We'll talk about the Golden Knights. We're gonna have. By the way, I think we have our business of sport guest booked for Wednesday. We're gonna talk assistant GM and capologist. So a little hockey salary cap 101 that we can dive into, how to get that gig and more. I think we're coming up in a few weeks. They're going to have Marion Host on. I think Frank Musil is going to join us as well. Some unique stories for the business of sports. Should be a lot of fun. On behalf of Connor Halley and Declan Kruger, I'm Jason Gregor. Thanks so much for listening. Have yourselves a great evening. Let's get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers. Truck month on now. GMC, get a 5,000 cash purchase credit on 2025 Sierra HD models. See more at gmccanada.ca. Good night.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
The Edmonton Oilers have signed college free agent defenseman Damian Carfagna to a 2-year entry-level contract starting next season. The 22-year-old had 7 goals and 21 assists with the Ohio State Buckeyes this past season. On the ice in the NHL tonight, Devils right now leading the Wild 1-0 after 20 minutes. Luke Hughes with his 7th of the season, and the Preds and Flyers are currently scoreless. Later tonight, Avalanche take on the Flames, and the Stars are in Seattle. In the association, busy night. Hornets lead the Jazz 52-44. Pacers up on the Kings 50-49. The Heat have a 45-31 lead over the Wizards in first quarter. Celtics on top of the Grizz 21-20 later tonight. Thunder up against the Bulls. Nets in Dallas, and the Rockets taking on the LA Lakers. Major League Baseball today, the Toronto Blue Jays are in action. They lead the Nationals 2-0 in the bottom of the third. Elsewhere, Reds beating up on the Rangers 6-0 in the fifth, and the Mets have a 2-1 lead over the Marlins also in the fifth. Later tonight, the Astros take on the Giants, Guardians in San Diego. Mariners host the Tigers. Cubs take on the Athletics from Sacramento, and the Dodgers meet the Braves. Earlier today, Royals knocked off the Brewers 11-1. It was the White Sox with the Twins 9-0. March Madness continues on the women's side. Halftime, TCU trails Texas 23-21. And tonight, USC takes on UConn. That'll do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Coming up next, we've got Fox Sports Radio. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
It's Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CK